Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Pop Culture Gamers 2.0. I think that we should really call this. First off, I just want to say thanks to sticking with us after our impromptu pausing. It was due to a lot of personal stuff that was going on, and, well, we're back. Also, as you'll have all have heard, we've got the new jingles. So a great thank you to Ian Russo Music for our new theme tune and jingles, and hope you guys like them as well. So let's get into the show. And hello, Steve.
Hello.
How are you? It has been a while. We haven't done a show in a couple of months, really, have we? No. I think it was November that we did the last one.
Yeah, was it before he moved?
Yes, it was. You have. It's the first time we've done a show at your new gaff.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, well, welcome.
Yeah. So, I'd been hinting on Twitter and also on our Facebook group that there was going to be some big changes, and as well as the new music and graphics, I also want to welcome our new host that many of you will know as our very own fitness fanatic runner. Is our very own marathon man and head chef, Mr. Alan Murphy. Welcome to the show, Alan.
Wow, thanks very much, guys. It's an honour to be here. I'll start off by saying Conasata to Stephen and Hayden, which means in Irish hello, and thanks for having me here. My first podcast with you, so I'm going to be a little bit nervous. So hopefully I can bring something to the show. Help you along, jump in when one of you can't do it. And when we get to the intro, what we've been doing the week, I'll explain a little bit about myself, if that's okay with you and Steve. Hayden.
Yay, no worries.
Well, I think for those listeners who are not familiar with you from Facebook, from our Facebook group, they'll probably want to know a little bit about you anyway.
Okay.
So, seeing as you're our new member of the team, do you want to just give us your intro first, then?
I will, so. I'll try and not make it too long. Like Hayden said, most of you know me from Facebook and Twitter, and probably through my running adventures over the years, and probably my wheeling and dealing adventures as well. I do with some games, buying and selling.
Yeah, you are the Irish version of Dale.
Yeah, I tend to buy 5 or 6 versions of the games and resell them. About myself, personally, I've been gaming since, I suppose, 6 or 7 years old. My gaming started really in 1978 when I got the Atari 2600 that they call it. It came out in 1978, and I actually got it the same year that the same week Superman movie was released, which was quite a big and influential week for me. Really kind of forged the person I turned out to be, as I'm a massive Superman fan. And I moved on then through the years, Amstrads, the Spectrums, the Commodore 64s, Dreamcast, right through everything, right up to the current consoles. Took a bit of a year off, I think last year, the year before, just took a break from gaming due to work and life and everything. And just, actually, as you get burnt out from gaming, you can kind of get obsessed with it and it takes over a bit. So I took a time off, but I kind of came back and found a nice little groove now where I pick 1 or 2 games that suit me, new games, I play them. I'm not like Hayden now, who's the king of the gamer scores and the king of the games. I don't play as much as him.
Well, you're too busy running.
Too busy. I suppose the 30 hours a week on gaming, as I was telling Hayden and Steve, kind of turned over to 30 hours of running and training instead. So the good thing about that is that my TV shows and my movies and audiobooks have doubled. I've kind of swapped completely them. Because you can be in the gym, I'm on the iPad. I watch a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies in the gym on my iPad. So that's pretty good. And audiobooks, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Later on, when yourself and Steve and Hayden, you both of you are talking about your music and your records and stuff, I'll be very quiet during that, as I have absolutely no idea of music.
That's all right.
So I'll do a recommendation of an audiobook a week if you're interested. I listen to about 5 or 6 a week. My own personal life, I have 3 daughters. I'm 48. 3 daughters were all grown. They're gone out of the house, thank God. I have 2 in college this year, so my gaming is even going to be a little bit less as you have to watch the pennies. So thankfully, things like Epic and Game Pass and even PlayStation free games they give away and stuff like that really helped me, because even the Xbox Game Pass now, I've kind of updated my PC a little bit, and that Game Pass on the Xbox is brilliant. I've been, actually, in the games I played this week, there's 2 of them are from the Game Pass alone, which I wouldn't have purchased even on because they came out this week, and it's been great, you know. And that's about it.
Have you tried the PlayStation Now?
I have tried the 7-day thing, but I find the games that are on it are very much PlayStation 3. I know they're putting a lot of PlayStation 4 games onto, like God of War, Horizon, which has gone to PC now, obviously. But I find...
I know I find it ironic that yet another exclusive is not exclusive.
Yeah, and now, what's the other one? The Postman one, it'll be soon on PC as well, you know? Yeah. So... I find like that's handy for me now with the gaming is the PC. The Xbox is the PlayStation. I only really turn it on for exclusives. I really don't turn it on unless it's like the God of Wars, the Horizons. Currently now, Judgement, which is original. It's a kind of a continuation of the Yakuza story. So that's the kind of what I use my PlayStation for. I'd be very much Xbox because of the Game Pass, which I think is like, I don't know how they're doing this, but it's brilliant, you know, for $10 a month. Or we got it for less for up till the end of the year if you got the deals and stuff. So that's about it. When we get into talking about what we did this week, I can tell you what my week was like, or I can tell you no, it's no problem.
Well, carry on, then, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, carry on.
Well,
go with the flow.
Okay, you're very good.
I can see you drinking, and you can carry on talking. Why am I late?
I'm trying not to be talk too much because us Irish do like to chat.
Steve's just there with the wine. Don't worry. Trust me, you can talk as long as you like.
I'll talk through one bottle anyway for you, Steve. You're okay. For me, the busy time is finished as a chef. I've been a chef for 34 years. I'm currently an executive chef in a country golf club, which I'm hopefully will retire from there in about 5 or 6 years. I'll finish my career there. But over Christmas, we were very busy, as you know, 15, 16-hour days. So it's only this week on now, I'm kind of the next 3 months, I have a lot more time off, so I have a lot of stuff to catch up on. Gaming-wise, mainly, TV shows and movies now, and books, I'm okay, because I watch a lot of them out at the gym, as I said. TV shows and movies, like in the gym. Audiobooks, I finished this week. I finished the Bobverse 3-book series, which was really interesting. I wanted to get to that a long time ago. It's the story of Bob, who 120 years ago, we'd say, a very rich, he developed an app. The app sold for billions. So as a joke, he said he'd get himself kind of like frozen, his head frozen. If something happened to him to the future, he could be brought back. But he did it as a joke. And then, ironically, the next day, he got hit by a bus and he died. And then he woke up 170, his head then was frozen, and then he woke up 117 years later, but he was installed as a computer matrix in a probe, which sounds a bit off the wall, but it's actually very interesting because he didn't get sent out into the universe to explore. And it's very, and then where Star Trek comes into a lot is that he's a huge Star Trek fan. So that's why I think I fell in love with it. The first one's actually called Legion of Bob. That's the first book is called that, if anyone's interested. And on the probe he has like replication technology, so he can replicate himself, or he can build others like probes and ships, and he can build factories to farm, and he's supposed to go out to help the Earth that's in trouble because it's a lot of religious factions fighting. But when he comes back like 1,000 years later, Earth is nearly destroyed, and it's only a couple of and then it's up to him to try and save the Earth and save mankind. But he's after replicating himself 1,000 times. They're all called Number One or named Uhura after other Star Trek people, but they're exactly like him, Bob. So hence Bobverse. So it just continues, and then an alien race comes in book 2 to destroy Earth, and he has to build army probes to get them. Now, it does sound a bit silly, but it actually is very interesting, and I listened to all 3 books in about 4 days. So if anyone's interested, it's called The Bobverse. Highly recommend it. It's absolutely brilliant. So I listened to that. I got back training again for this week. kicked off my year ahead. So I had my first race last Friday night in a little village called Ballyhory, and it's a midnight ultra, and it was a quick 44 kilometres. It wasn't too bad.
Quick.
Well, that sounds very. I say that sounds arrogant. It wasn't. I was hoping 7 hours, and I actually went 5 hours 47 minutes. So that was really surprising. But it was really nice because you start at 9 o'clock at night and you run into the nighttime with the moon at the highest climbs up at about 1,000 meters, like 900 meters, and then you descend back into the village again. So like the moon was out. It was pretty rough conditions up there, muddy, but it was good fun. So that went well, and all my races this year are leading to my dream race in August, in Chamonix in France. Which it's taken me a long time to get into this race. It's 178 kilometers around Chamonix, around into Switzerland, Italy, and back into France again, around Mont Blanc. So everything I do is building to that. So, and you know, there's a hashtag out there I use. It's called Geeks and Sneaks that I follow. That it's a kind of it's for gamers and pop culture people and kind of geeks like us who have kind of trying to get rid of this idea that all of us are just sit all day in front of the TV, and I know some of us do, but there's a kind of a growing culture of you can go out and you can do your 5k and come back in and relax and watch your TV and play your games and stuff. I quite like that now, where you're bringing your own games, and games like that come out on the Switch now as well, which seems to have been a massive and was in a lot of people's top 10s game of the year. This new I can't remember the name of it, the health one they brought out on the Switch. Like that was very popular. So I like that kind of idea of bringing those kind of games healthy games into my gaming or my TV or my shows.
Yeah.
So that's my week. It's not the most exciting week in the world, but I get to try my best. So thank you for listening.
Well, you got a lot there.
Oh, sorry, I had to wake up again. What was that?
Sorry, Steve.
Good man.
All right then, Steve, do you want to tell us about your time?
Well, it's not really a week, is it? It's more like 3 months.
2 months.
It feels like it. Well, Christmas came and went in the blink of an eye, to be honest. I mean, it was such a short one this time. And I had to work the day after Boxing Day, and I was on call. So, yeah, it went. It's awful. And it was great that I was able to have a break until sort of the second week of January. So it was quite nice to get a break. I've still got a few days left to take before April. So I don't know how I'm going to do them yet. And yeah, movies wise, first of all, I have picked up Once Upon a Time in America. Just want to say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I haven't had a chance to watch that yet because it's about 3 hours long, I think. But I will get to that at some point. I'm really looking forward to watching that.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and there's some great little bits I already know about due to my other favourite movies, but I'm not too worried about that, and I'm not going to say what that is. But yeah, that was quite interesting. And me and my music, well, I've been using Los Angeles as a point of collection these days. So there's a company called La La Bland Records, and they do movie scores, CD and vinyl. Prominently more CD though, but they're more limited editions. So I picked up a Christmas CD of Die Hard, the 30th anniversary, which is pretty good. It's a 3-disc box set, and a John Williams box set, which is the Towering Inferno, Poseidon Adventure, and Earthquake, which is a disaster movie collection for us that are old enough to know those back in the 70s. Yeah. And also Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Now, I do have that on vinyl, but actually I wanted to have the expanded edition. And that comes with a lovely book as well. Pretty cool. So, yeah, really getting into that. And something I've been after from them, which has been an age because it's out of print pressing. And they keep saying that come back soon. But I've actually got hold of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is a classic 50s sci-fi movie. One of my real favourites that I used to love watching as a child, and I still watch today. And it's not a very long movie, so it's a quick one to watch.
I think that one still stands up well today as well.
I love that movie.
Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong, the remake was pretty good as well. Back in the mid 70s, late 70s, 80s, I think it was now. But
on that, when you say you get your movies from Los Angeles, like obviously America, is the expense of shipping them a lot, or is it included in pricing? Or
yeah, the
that's
price,
quite interesting.
Yeah, because the CDs that they pick up, they have a price with you when you check out.
Okay.
And with that company, they just come straight to the Royal Mail, and it's brilliant because that's handy.
And you don't get caught for any import tax?
There's only one company I get caught with that, unfortunately, and it's the way it is. But that's Mondo. So
okay, I love Mondo posters. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got the Lost soundtrack coming from Michael Giacchino, and that's coming in a three vinyl set. But I'm sure there'll be a little import tax when that comes through Heathrow at some point.
Fingers crossed doesn't get lost on the way.
Oh, Yodel, God. They've been the bane of my life, honestly. That poster I picked up, I think I mentioned this on Twitter. I haven't got it in the notes here, but the Omen poster I picked up was put on a tube, or should I say in a tube, which is pretty rock solid, and the guy didn't even knock on the door, left it by the side of the house. And we had those big storms last week.
Yes, Storm Brenda, we called it.
Yeah, and we actually had a mini tornado on the beach.
Wow.
And it ripped up some of the houses, brickwork and all sorts. And yeah, I found it the next day, and the tube was soaking wet.
Oh no!
And I was fearing the worst because it's a good high grade quality paper on these posters. So I went to work, put it on the seat next to me, put the heating on, blasted it out to dry it out. But obviously, if you know what it's like, if you blast a piece of paper in heat, it will crinkle up.
Yeah. But
luckily enough, I got it out, and it's now sitting proudly on my wall, and it's brilliant. They do so many posters on their website. They come out quite regular, and it's some nice Spider-Man ones there at the moment that've just been released. But yeah, they're really, really good.
And do you get them framed and freshly framed to hang, or?
Yeah, well, I've just framed my one that I went to. We have a shop. I'm sure they're all over the country.
Okay.
It's sort of like a shop that sells everything, and I can't even think of the name of the shop at the moment. I was in there Friday at the Reading shop when I was down in Reading, and I picked up a frame for $9.99.
Oh, perfect. That's not bad.
So yeah, it's all right. They got all sorts of frames in that place, and I've got some other posters that I could do with mounting actually, but it's just finding the space in this new room of mine because it's quite full of other stuff, and
yeah, it piles up fast.
It does. But yeah, no, it's all right. And actually, ironically, while sitting at my dinner earlier on, there's a new company I've just been aware of that do game soundtracks.
Okay.
And I've just pre-ordered the Shadow of the Tomb Raider in vinyl with that, so that'll be interesting when that comes later in February.
But don't you find a lot of them on Spotify now? I found a couple of great soundtracks now on
you
Spotify, yeah.
I understand, and from a point of view for some people, digital music is the way they want to go. But I've been listening to vinyl since the mid-70s, shall I say, probably. Or we'll say early 70s. And you can't beat it. I know it's hard to understand or describe to people.
I suppose it's very similar to buying a book or reading a book in a Kindle or listening to a book. It's all like I like to collect books sometimes, so I suppose it's very similar. Kind of
absolutely.
Thing, you like to feel, you like to see it in front of you. I suppose.
Yeah,
there's that.
I mean, sometimes
it's more than that though, because what it actually is in terms of digital recordings, what they do on CD and on MP3 or whatever is that they only record a certain sound frequencies, those ones that we can hear, whereas analog recording records the full spectrum. Okay. So although we can't consciously process it, the sound always sounds richer on a record than it does on a CD because a CD is a lot more clinical sound.
Well, I'll have to take your word for that, as
honestly,
I've never had a record player in my life, and I've never had a record. So
if you go into somewhere like Richer Sounds in wherever near you, you could find one.
Yeah,
go in there and ask, can you do a demo of a deck for me with some music?
No, there's no real record stores. We have Golden Discs in Cork, and that's about it. And they don't have.
Do you have Richer Sounds, the audio shop?
No. There's none of that kind of stuff really near me. It's Golden Disc now, it'll be the close. We had H&V for years, but they closed down. Golden Disc has 2 stores in Cork. You go in to buy your records there, or your DVDs or your Blu-rays, and that's it. Eason's is a kind of another store, which is kind of magazine store style. But no, there's nothing like that around here, really. You have to kind of go to Dublin, maybe, if you want to go to the Boss store in Dublin. There's a couple of our Sony store. They might leave you to listen to it, but that's a lot of travel.
There's a few stores in the UK, like Seven Oaks is another company that you can go in there. They'll have a demo room set up for audio and visual.
That's pretty good.
A lot of the electric shops that sell record players and that in this country, they do have like areas set up. So places like Richer Sound definitely do, but there's a place near me called Maxwell's, which is part of the Euronics group.
You have a lot of more
stores. They do that.
Yeah. So talking to HMV, they were going to close another 6 shops this week, and they've been saved because I went to the Reading shop because I was working in Reading train station, and so I had a bit of time to kill while I was waiting for some network guys to turn up for me. And I popped over there, and it's a massive store, this one in Reading. I mean, they've got a huge vinyl selection in there, a huge CD selection, and a huge range on movies and Blu-rays. And it's, those sort of places need to be still going.
Yeah, I used to love it. I used to love the one here in Cork now. And actually, Danny Dwyer from No Clip, who I would have worked in the HMV in Cork, I would have met him through there. Years and years ago when he first started off, when he was in college and stuff. He used to manage the one in Cork, or run it, and he started a small little podcast himself from kind of that area. Now look at him, No Clip. He's so, but yeah, that store is gone. We don't have any of that kind of stuff anymore. It's all Starbucks and
Yeah, Costas.
Costas.
Starbucks, Costas, and charity shops. That's the high street these days, isn't it?
There's a few charity shops now in Cork, which you can get some nice. I get my graphic novels in a few of them. I got a recent Batman one in there in my local charity shop they wanted €5. I gave them 10. So I kind of like going in there. You get the odd stuff like that in the local charity store, and they have records, but they don't have a record player to listen
to. Sometimes they have little bits and pieces that I've got a second-hand record store in my where I used to live in Christchurch, which isn't too far, but and then their main shop is the one in Bournemouth, which is huger, so
yeah.
But then again, as I say, using the internet really, even for that, is is the mainstay, and even eBay as well. Sometimes there are things that are it's unfortunate. I think it doesn't matter whether it's a piece of vinyl or anything that's got a special edition slapped on it, whether it's a game or what, but the cruel world of eBay comes out, and once it's out in the wild, you see these people pre-ordering it and putting it on there for an extortionate amount. Really, it's pretty sad.
Yeah, it is.
It seems like an expensive, I think, like from my side, an expensive hobby or passion, maybe is the right word.
Yeah.
But I suppose there's good resale value in for keeping them, like there was years ago.
Well, there is. To be honest, I've got some of them some of my original pressings that are worth £150.
Wow!
So that when I'm dead and buried, they can use that to bury me. That'll pay for the coffin.
Yeah, I mean, my record collection's nowhere near as extensive as Steve's, and according to what's that app that we both use, Disclog or whatever. Yeah. Mine's about 1.5K, if for resale value. And I know yours was something like about 6K, wasn't it, Steve?
It's now
or
nearly
something?
10.
Because you've got loads.
Wow,
yeah,
10,000.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a nice collection to have.
But you've got hundreds, haven't you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm up to about 450 at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Game Pass, I'm not buying as many games as I used to anymore.
Yes.
So
it's great
see what
for
I mean?
me.
So you can point that in another direction.
I suppose it's true. I put a lot more money into my running gear. So I suppose.
But Steve, you're not even playing Destiny as much as you were.
Well, it's funny because I still am. I have been playing. There are days when I've probably not seen me on, but I come home really tired, from work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressures there these days with call out, and I've been doing some night work as well leading up to Christmas, because we got the Sainsbury's contract now, which you can imagine how many shops there are of those.
Oh yeah, that's a big contract.
Yeah, so it's huge. And just as I was mentioning earlier, just quickly, yeah, I'm going to hospital tomorrow. So I've got to get up early. But I'm not being committed because I'm going to Broadmoor for training. So I've got 3 days at Broadmoor Hospital. So that
it's nothing too serious, so.
Not from my point of view, but they did say you got to bring some tracksuit bottoms for the second day. I think that's what they want to know, how quick I can run the 100.
Oh, no.
When the alarms go off, I'm out of here. But anyway, so just a couple of other things. So just finishing on vinyl and that. Waxwork Records, who I purchased from as well. I've actually, because I've always wanted to do this one. Every year I see it. They do a subscription service. And they have a select bundle that will be spread out during the year, which will come first to you, and there will be special offers and discounts plus and everything else. So I did go for that this year.
Is it expensive?
Yes, it is. But with what you get like 7 or 8 albums through the year, plus calendars. This year's a nice slip mat for my deck as well, which I don't actually have. I've got just a standard one that comes with the deck itself. So it'd be a nice one for that, and some other bits of space. I get a code as well for 10% off of any stuff I buy as well.
Right.
But yeah. Nice. So one thing I want to talk about is these headphones I've been looking for the last 3 months. Because as you know, to watch movies in my home at night, I need to have the sub turned off. Quiet as a mouse, because the thumping that goes through the house is mental, and I keep the rest of the house up. Especially if you're watching a big action movie. So I found these Sony headset. They're digital surround wireless headphones. And just out of note, if anyone's interested, they're the MDR HW7000DS. That's the make they are. They're 9.1 virtual surround sound. They've got a 4K pass-through. 50mm drivers, 12 hours of battery life, and even when you put them on your head, the processor turns on and it all comes to life. It's pretty cool.
Well, I'm looking here at one now. I've just googled it, and they look good.
And they sound amazing. They really, really do. And they sound when I play Destiny in here, when I put them on, they're incredible. Really are. It's just when you're single playing on your own for gaming, they're really, really good.
But you won't be able to. Presumably, they don't do the talking.
No, they don't. They don't know. But to be honest, when I'm playing Destiny on the PS4, it's normally on my Todd anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. Where
we normally, if anyone is around, we're on the Xbox. But obviously, because we can jump around between platforms now.
Yeah.
And have the option of wired as well?
Not that I'm aware of, but the wireless has no issues at all.
And obviously, you can't connect them to your record player either. I mean, they're more for you.
You can do, but they're not. They're really not for that music.
Okay.
They're not built for that, to be honest. I've got another set of headphones I use for that, but honestly, if you put a movie on them, or even Destiny 2, and put those headsets on, wow, they knock your socks off. And I've had some cheap and crappy ones over the years. Some others are a bit more expensive. But these really are something else. I mean, you can set them up so your amp can be quiet all the time, or you can have it so the amp can come on as well. So if you do want to use them without the headphones, then you can just turn your amp up, or you can set it not to have an amp. And you can also don't have to have an amp. There's different ways of wiring them up, with whatever sort of setup you've got in your room.
And they're comfortable. They'd want to be for the price.
Oh. Yes, yeah.
I find sometimes you have great sound, but comfortable. Then after a while, your ears start getting sore.
Hot.
Yeah, hot. I suppose that's the word I was looking for. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, they get, and you spend all this money, and then they're like pressing your ear, and they're just not comfortable. It's disappointing,
Yeah, no. There's a nice bit of play on obviously the size of your head, and the thickness of those is pretty cool, and they're very comfortable. I've watched a film with them before at night in here.
And did you get a deal on them? Because they're quite expensive in Ireland here. I'm looking at the price; they're like €525, which is a lot. But I picked
them up on eBay actually.
Oh, okay.
And they're not sold in the UK.
Well, but they're here and in the Sony store.ie. You can pick them up at $5.25.
Yeah.
But they look nice. There's a lovely black look to them and a kind of a leather look to the Sony around the Sony outside. It's very nice.
Yeah, but what I couldn't believe it. So when you open them up and then you just put them on your head, the processor just turns on.
Wow.
And the whatever you got set up already for the film is in your ears. You know, it's difficult to express music or sound that you can hear that no one else can grab.
I picked up the new iPod headphones, the new ones, the Pro ones, for the gym, for my iPad, and they are just. I thought I knew what noise cancellation was like until I tried these out, and it's just frightening when you click on and then you go to the app and you turn on the noise cancellation, you absolutely hear nothing outside. Yeah. But then when you click, they have a new thing then where they enhance the sound on the outside, and you can have little music in the background, but you can actually hear sound so much clearer. It must be like someone putting a hearing aid in. It's a very strange sensation when you click it on and off. But they were like $249. I got them because they're sweat proof and they have a good battery life and everything. But I suppose it's similar to that for when you do your headphones, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have the previous?
I still have the previous ones. I use the previous ones in work. Hopefully my boss isn't listening, but I watch my soccer games at work, which you guys know, on my iPad. Like Liverpool, if I was working today, I would have watched a match at work. So I keep the older earpods, the first generation ones. I keep one in my ear while I'm listening to the match, while I'm cooking and working sometimes, if it's quiet, obviously. So yeah, I have the other ones for kind of day to day, and I keep the new ones mainly for running because at night time there, I like if I'm out at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it's quite dark. It's nice to have the audiobooks and it's complete silence. It blocks, or I can just do translucence, which gives me so much clearer. It enhances the sound around you. It's a very weird sensation. If anyone out there has tried it, they'll understand. It really is fantastic, you know.
Yeah, yeah. That's it.
So,
anyway, Hayden, do you want to?
Yeah. Well, for me, as you know, I've got a second house, been trying to get that ready for renting out. I've had to do quite extensive renovation to the house, including getting a new roof put on part of the house as well, because my builder found out that if it had snowed, the roof would have come in one part of the building.
Whoa.
So, fortunately it didn't. So at the moment, still sorting out all of that, and I've probably got another 3 months of on-off doing stuff to the house before it's all completed, which is an absolute pain in the backside. I just can't wait until it's all done now. Christmas, not really much to report present-wise, to be honest. New Year, we had some friends over for a nice party, which second time that we've done that. And at the end of the year, last year, talking about gaming, I had completed 68 games across all platforms.
That's crazy.
Because he's an insomniac, by the way. We mustn't forget that.
I'm an insomniac as well, but I don't think I completed 6 games last year. 68 games is it's phenomenal.
I think I completed 1.
No, I completed 5 or 6.
Yeah, but Destiny doesn't count, Steve.
No, it wasn't Destiny. No, it wasn't Destiny 2. Can you believe that?
Yeah, because you've done that the year before.
Was it Destiny 1?
No. What game did I complete then? Do you know?
Persona 5.
No, that was the year before, wasn't it?
No.
You were playing it last Christmas. I don't know if you'd completed it by previous Christmas.
Oh, yeah, I have. I've finished Persona and playing it on a second rerun at the moment.
Right.
No, it was Resident Evil 2, the remake.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, where this time it will be Resident Evil 3.
I was going to say you must be excited for that. The trailer looked very good. The trailer looked stunning. The side-by-side comparison of Nemesis to the first gen to the new one was just
incredible, wasn't it?
It's great the way things have moved forward, you know. Brilliant.
Frightening. Anyway, Hayden, go on, carry on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Sorry, Hayden.
So I also managed to get my gamer score up to 300k, which is unbelievable. But this is what got me right. Yesterday, I became aware of True Achievements had been doing a My Decade on Xbox. and giving you the rundown for the last 10 years since 2010.
Okay.
Apart from it's wrong.
Is it?
Because it's missing 43,000 gamer score. So I've gone back because I did a total of 8 each month because I had a spreadsheet tracking everything that I'd done. And, because I am absolute gamer score.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I didn't.
Yes, for some of us, it's long gone the worry of a number on a right-hand corner of the screen telling you what you've been doing.
Come on, Mr. £10,000 record collection and Mr. Ultra Marathon Runner. Come on.
I suppose we all have our addictions. It's true. It's true. We have our passions. But 368 games and 300,000 gamer score is just phenomenal. Like, I think I'm at 120, and I thought that was okay. And I haven't played much games. Over the last few years, I haven't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, anyway, this bi-decade on Xbox thing that True Achievements have done, I've worked it out. They've only worked out your gamer score up until about April. Because I've seen a few people posting it, and it's sort of like, it's not the full decade. What the heck's the point in doing that? So anyway, I've messaged them on Twitter, but they've not come back to us yet. Yeah, I just kind of like wanted to understand what the logic was of not doing a full year, because if you remember, Xbox for a couple of years were doing a My Year on Xbox sort of thing.
Did they do that this year?
But they were doing it up until September. No, they didn't do it this year.
I thought I saw something last week on it. No?
No.
Or maybe I didn't.
No, I didn't see it.
Or maybe
anyway.
it's a True Achievement one I seen popping up around the place on Facebook and stuff. I thought that was it. Okay.
Yeah, but like I say, it's way out. It's way out in terms of the game.
I won't talk about my PlayStation one, so...
Well, my Xbox, I've just logged into it, actually. So you said it's not right, then?
The True Achievements isn't. No.
My decade on Xbox.
Yeah. It's 43,000 gamer score out.
Yeah. But I've only done 317 games played. I suppose that's not bad, is it? For me.
I've done 869.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
As of April.
Value of games, $13,000.
25,720.
Oh, I don't want to look at that. No, to see how much I've spent over the years. Thank God for Game Pass.
But to be fair, that does include a lot of Game Pass stuff. It also includes a lot of games with gold and all of that. But also, that is the day one release value of the games. And,
but actually,
and that's not something that you do a lot of. It
includes my 360.
Yes.
So it says 40.7% on playtime on the 360 and 58% on the Xbox One. Windows is 0.6%.
Mine says 60% for Xbox One, 33% for 360.
I'm just trying to see what the game was. Rarest achievements. Oh, okay.
And about 6% for Windows. In different formats, game for Windows Live or just Windows generally.
So I don't know how it classes a rare achievement.
Rare achievements are as in Microsoft's rare achievements, so it's anything that is less than 10% of the people who have the game have that achievement.
Tiger Woods PGA Tour 14. I got the pin collector. So, and there's one there for Connect Sports, Ball Blitz, and another Tiger Woods PGA 14. The LPGA carded. 10% of people did it. Okay, interesting.
Well, I've got it says that all of my rarest achievements are all on Elite Dangerous.
Because no one else played it, yeah.
But the thing is, I know that I've got ones that have got lower percentage-wise, so I don't know what's happened, but the data's gone really wrong on it.
Well, there's nothing here. There's nothing here for Destiny 2 or Destiny, so that must be wrong.
Yeah, because you've spent half a year in Destiny, 1 and 2 together.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it was over 2,000 hours in the first Destiny, wasn't it? So
in the first Destiny, 2,000 hours.
Yeah,
it doesn't comprehend. That's just.
Does it?
It doesn't.
When did Destiny appear on the PC? Was that November or October? was either October or November, wasn't it?
I couldn't tell you, no.
I think it was November.
Hmm.
I've done 419 hours on Destiny since it came on PC, and that's just on the PC.
On PC, yeah, because you keep trying to get me to go onto us the last week or two.
I know.
Wear me down, but I played it. I played the single player and finished on the Xbox Destiny 2, and I just haven't gone back to. And I tried to go back to when it came out free. There, I think it was up to level 20 or something was free, or up to a certain part it was free, and it just got. As I told you boys when I was chatting to you, there was so much new stuff and so much different things to learn and light this and armor this, and it was overwhelming. So I just stepped away again from it, you know.
Yeah,
well, I'll give you a guided tour.
Yeah, I've downloaded because you pestered me. I have it sitting here now in front of me. Destiny 2, 94 gigs downloaded. So hopefully I can use my controller, because the mouse and keyboard. It's been so long since I've used them. It'll be strange.
I find it strange now using the controller.
Oh, really? I suppose, yes, it's what you're used to, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And bearing in mind that's after, 2,000 hours on Destiny 1 and 2 on the, on the consoles.
Yeah.
But I've bought an adapter to translate your controller into a keyboard and mouse. I've just not tried it out yet.
Oh, okay.
So I can translate it over onto the console. So that when Steve says, well, you're never online, I can say, well, actually, I've come online now and I can still use a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I've been watching plenty of Netflix, watched a few good series, going to talk about that. Seen Rise of Skywalker. I think we'll have a discussion about that later on.
We'll be talking about
Really?
that. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I think it could be 2 against 1 for this one.
No.
Yes.
Huh?
But just because you're in the minority doesn't mean that you're wrong.
Yeah, well, it does.
You're not the only
it's
one in the
close to it,
minority.
you're a lot in the minority in that one, I think.
I was not in the minority. I was in the minority about Brexit, but I still don't think I was wrong. Anyway, finally, I got a record today as well. I got The Fifth Element.
Yes,
Mondo
I saw that.
pressing.
You sent the picture.
Yeah.
The cover looks stunning.
It is. Should be the coloured. Did you get the coloured one? Colour vinyl one?
No, it's black.
Oh, okay, because I think it was white and orange. The split for that. Is that in your local store? Was it?
No, got it from Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I haven't watched that movie for a while either. I might.
No, I haven't.
It's actually one of my wife's favourite movies. She loves it. But we haven't watched it for, I'd say, a year or two. I might throw it on again. I had the Blu-ray version of it, 4K or something, somewhere in the cupboard there. I might throw it on after this. It's a really good movie, to be honest with you. I loved it.
It's one of my favourite movies.
Yeah, the style, everything. It's very good.
And I like Eric Serra and his theme as well, because he also did The Big Blue, which was another great
movie.
album. Yeah,
That's a great
good music
movie.
on that, and that was him as well.
Well, I'll take your word for that, Steve. Hayden.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we move on and we'll go into gaming this week? Alright, so gaming this week, and we've got loads of news, and we're going to let Alan take it away. So, Alan, do you want to tell us what the news is?
Well, as probably most of the lads know who are listening, there's a lot of big news this week with games delayed and everything. I think one of the biggest news, which mightn't be no big surprise, is that Sony have decided to skip E3 again this year. And what I think has just come out as well recently, the last few days, is the rumours are they have one of their state of plays planned pretty much close to E3. I think to try and steal some of the headlines before Microsoft. My own personal opinion, I think, because Microsoft, Phil Spencer, the head of Microsoft, he's confirmed that they're definitely attending E3 this year, and the team are already hard at work with some looking forward to sharing all the new stuff they have with the new Xbox Series X coming out. So I think that's quite interesting. I don't know if it's the death of E3 with all this new influencers. They're kind of really pushing towards influencers from what I've seen online. They've been hired to do a lot of the E3 stuff this year. I think it could be the last year we see Xbox at it. myself.
I don't know. I think
know?
they like to. I mean, they don't have as many events the way Sony do. But I think this year, with the announcement from Sony, going to be obviously they'll be doing their announcements elsewhere, and maybe before E3. I wouldn't put it past Microsoft to do a show just to show us off the Xbox and then leave it to the games at E3, maybe.
Yeah, I think the way Sony have taken the idea that Nintendo do their Nintendo Directs, and they've I've watched a few of the State of Plays now, and I'm not a massive, I'm more exclusive for Sony, but I like the games they do. Their State of Plays have been quite good, and they've been getting better as they go along. And I would like to see Xbox maybe do something like that. I know they do the weekly shows with Major Nelson, who I think I'm not his biggest fan.
Well, no, again, that isn't. I mean, they do have the Xbox. They did one in November, didn't they? In the UK, these little events that go around the world.
Yeah, again, I found that okay this year, but again, it was like getting the crowd whooping and cheering and stuff. I would like to see a more kind of focused, like show us 15, 20 games every couple of months, like Nintendo do. I would quite like that. Get us excited every 3 or 4 months. Just kind of go like Nintendo do, and they click and a couple of games come in. Stuff like that. I think that's the way it's going. It's that very much immediate information rather than waiting once a year now for like E3 or the Xbox events and stuff. It's just interesting. It's another year Sony won't be there. I don't think they'll be back there again.
They never will be there.
No.
They won't.
I read some stats. It cost them, was it 15 million just to set up the booths or something, and then between to get all the exclusives and to get rights, and they're looking at 50 million for E3 alone. Were the rumours that I had read or seen through internet and Twitter and stuff. That's quite a big expense, really, I suppose, but you get a lot of publicity out of it then again. So it's interesting. It's a big announcement, I think. We'll see what happens. E3 should be good again this year with Xbox. There's a lot. It's a great year for us gamers with new consoles and stuff. So, the next one then, for me personally, I got very excited. Dune Eternal, the official gameplay trailer. Now, we had seen gameplay, but we weren't really given a date. But no, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's March 20th. It's due out in all formats, including Google Stadia, but we won't talk about that. We won't talk about that. That doesn't really count. It'll be interesting if they can port that to Switch as well. That'll be an interesting one. Because the first one they did was quite good. So the trailer looked good. I have, if anyone's seen it, I might put a link on the Facebook later on to have a look at it. It looks like fast action gunplay, but it's over the top. I love it. I love that kind of Quake style of gameplay. So,
well, the recent version of Doom, that was super fast as well.
I love it. Yeah.
Wasn't that 4K 60 FPS on the Xbox One X?
Yeah, they upscaled. It took, I think, about a year later they put out the patch for it, and I finished it, and it was a fantastic. 2016 it came out, if I remember, and even today it still holds up. But even if you play it on the Switch, which I've done, it runs so well on the Switch, and even it looks well, obviously in a small screen. Like Witcher, you don't put it to the big screen, it's lost a lot. But on the small screen, it looks really good. And then I go on to the big news. It's really been the week of delays, really, hasn't it been?
Just a little bit.
The first one was Final Fantasy VII, but that was delayed a month, which I think isn't too bad if you're looking forward to this game. Personally, I'm not a massive Final Fantasy fan. I might have a look when it comes out. But April 10th...
All I'm saying is, it's released a day before my birthday, guys.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Best of luck with that, yeah?
Yeah, good luck, mate.
Yeah, I'll go buy it myself.
By our silence, I think you got your answer. And then pretty much, I think the next day was announced Marvel Avengers has been held back till May. From May, it won't be hitting May, held back till September, 4 months delay, which I think is quite a big delay for that one.
I'm not sure that game's going to be what it is, to be honest.
No, I'm not actually looking forward to it, and I'm quite a big Marvel zombie back from the day. I'm more DC fan now, but I'm a big Marvel fan, and anytime I've seen it, I've just gone, it looks okay, but I don't know what the game is. I don't know really.
Yeah,
they did show this at one of the, maybe it was last E3, but there was some private people popping in to play the game, but I weren't hearing all screaming and shouting about it though.
No,
and I'll tell you what, I saw a clip of it, and it looked like a strange sort of character with, normal sized body and then hands about 3 times the size of the body.
Is that
slapping people and that? And I thought it looks more like Stick It to the Man than it looks like a Marvel. And do you know what I mean? And it's just, I don't think that this is going to be all it's.
Is that like Kenny Everett when he gets the big hands out?
Oh, it was bigger than that, I'll tell you.
And I think the voices, I know they've taken the voices from some of the cartoons and some of the other shows they've done, but none of the voices are from the movies, and I think that's, even though it's not a major issue, it would put you off a bit when you see Captain America and it's not the voice, the actual actor who plays him, talking.
Well, the guy who's Captain America looks nothing like.
No, and it's Chris Nolan. I think
it's
Chris Nolan doing the voice for him. I could be wrong. No, I'll have to look it up. It was doing the voice for him as well. So it just, when I was watching the trailer, I just went, it's not on my list to get day one. I'll wait and see, I think.
Yeah.
And then that was followed in by Cyberpunk, isn't it?
Yeah,
till September. No, this one I'm not surprised about, because I don't know if anyone remembers, Witcher was actually delayed the exact same way 3 months.
Yeah.
And look the way that game turned out. So I'm not too worried about. I think they're getting closer to the new console releases as well. And if the game is delayed to make it better, same as Avengers, it's a win for us. So
you've got to think about it logically. Is because the new consoles are coming out this year now, they want all of the games to be about September, because what they want you to do is either buy it or wait until it's on a new console and get it on there instead. Having said that, though, it's not going to matter if you're on Xbox, is it?
Yeah, but you think that does that play into the Xbox, the new Xbox? As we all know, even though they announced it last year, there wouldn't be many exclusives.
Well, even they said they did. Didn't they iterate it this week, saying that?
But yeah, this week they've kind of really said it, haven't they?
Yeah, so there's no big exclusive. I mean, we're going to have the new Halo game.
Yes, but I think these delays now in September are so close to the November release. Would I might even wait for Cyberpunk if it's going to play on the Xbox, the new one, and it helps. I don't know, does it improve in graphics or? Would you wait for that? Would you get it day one? It's a tough one.
I don't think it will, though. I think it's going to be the same. And listening to some of the shows in the last week, some people are having second thoughts on picking the console up, because what's the point?
I have to admit, I'm definitely not as sold on buying the console day one as I have been, just for the simple reason that if there's not going to be any differentiation between the Xbox One X and the Series X, I might as well wait a little bit and then get one, and hopefully the price might have dropped a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess I'm the only one. So if I'm still around in November, I'll be talking about it day one, boys, because I'm paying mine off every week. I put money down today in it. I'm kind of I'm paying it off every week in the store to have it completely cleared off by November, and the PlayStation as well. So I'm going day one, and we'll see. So I'll be able to talk about it then, I'm guessing. I'm looking forward to Halo. Definitely, that's my big one. So and then recently, I think the newest one then is Iron Man VR has been delayed as well. I know I don't have any of those headsets to place the PSVR, so that doesn't really bother me too much. I know you do, so I wonder, does that affect you, or were you interested in that Iron Man game? The reviews coming out were good on it, people who've played it. So
I like the look of it from what I'd seen of it at Insomnia.
Yeah, so that's delayed. That's all the delays. It's kind of been a big week for delays, and I think it's big news. But we'll see what happens. We have other games coming out, so it gives us more time to play them, like Resident Evil 3, etc. So, and I think then there's a couple of Switch announcements, or I don't know if they've been confirmed. They've been leaked through, as they always are, different websites. BioShock Trilogy, I think, has been rumored for the Switch. So there's been the box art I've seen come out and stuff. So that would be a very good game on the Switch, I think. I've also seen Metro Redux as well has been announced or leaked as well, coming out soon. That one for me, I would definitely get, even though I finished them on the Xbox. I didn't like the new one as much, but those two games are absolutely brilliant, and they'd be great to play on the go. It suits me as well for work. I can take my Switch to work with me. And then I just saw today is a new Metro Prime game has been rumoured coming out in the next few months as well, and we'll get more in the next Nintendo Direct. So fingers crossed for that. One of my favourite games of all time is Metroid Prime, so I'm looking forward to that one. So that's all the news I can see at the moment, or I've seen at the moment. If you have anything to add there, boys, to it?
Cool. No, not got anything to add. Steve, have you got anything?
No, I'd say you mentioned the Bioshock games, but I keep hearing little snippets that there's going to be a new Bioshock game.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
About Bioshock 4 as well.
Yeah, and please do it.
Do it.
Oh, yeah.
Do
I
it.
want it so much.
Yeah, I only finished the third one there, I think, last year. Maybe the start of last year. It came out on the Xbox Game Pass, so you could play it, and it was brilliant.
Alan, did you play the extra content for it?
Not yet, and actually, and now that you said it, I actually have it lined up. I have notes here of games that I want to come back to, and it's actually on my notes to go back.
It's not that long,
yeah,
but it's the ending. My God, I wish I could tell you about the ending.
Oh, well, I'll play it so for you, and we'll come back and we'll chat about it. Okay,
absolutely.
I'll play it next couple of days, and I'll message you and we'll have a chat.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's on my to-do list. So for the next few days, I'm off. It's great. So that's it. My first news of the podcast. I hope everything went well for you guys and you enjoyed it. So.
Yeah, thank you, Alan.
Nice one.
Steve, do you want to do the new releases?
Okay, so 21st of January we got Moons of Madness, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The rest are the 23rd of January, so we have Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition, that's PlayStation 4 and Switch. Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. I want to know what that's all about.
What is that? Yeah, I'm going to Google that.
Yes, because I'm playing at the moment Kingdom Hearts 3, so what's all that about? Also we got Odwell's Stranger Wrath HD on the Switch. We got Rugby 20, PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC. And the last one we have Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, PC and VR. There you go.
I think it is PC VR, actually.
So I think
it's an exclusive one.
So it's probably Oculus.
Yeah. Or Rift. Yeah, not Oculus. The other one, Vive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm quite interested in Walking Dead, I have to admit, but whether or not it'll be compatible with my Windows one, I don't know.
Have to wait and see.
All right, so subscription games. Well, we've got a few.
Yeah,
so
it's been a lot.
we have Games of Gold. There's been Six Shards of Darkness and Tekken, and then from the 16th we've got Batman: The Telltale game, and also Lego Star Wars 2, the original, which is fantastic.
That's a great game. Yes,
it is.
And they're releasing a new one now with all 9 movies. I've seen the trailer.
Yes,
it actually looks quite
can't
good.
wait for that.
Yeah, looks better than the movie.
There's no real date for it, is there? But actually, we probably enjoy that more than we did Rise of Skywalker. But
I just said it. Thanks, Steve. Very good man.
Don't forget, I do the editing. PlayStation-wise, we've got Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, which is, 3 games, isn't it?
And,
I have picked that one up already myself, ready to play at some point.
I played the first one, Look, it actually looks really good on the Pro, I have to say.
And we've also got Goat Simulator, which is as mad as a box of frogs.
Never played it, but I've seen people play it and it looks crazy.
Oh, it is. It's a great fun game.
Yeah.
It is, I actually love the game, to be quite honest. You just do a load of really daft things as a goat.
Whatever floats your goat, that's what I say.
Oh, dear. Anyway, Twitch-wise, they've given us loads of games this month. There's Dandaria, Anna Cute, Kingdom New Lands, A New Lost Phone, Splasher, Enter the Gungeon, Ape Out.
Oh, Ape Out's fantastic. I have that on the Switch.
Yeah.
Brilliant game.
Witch Eye, Gato Roboto, and Heave Ho. And then out shortly, in fact, I think by the time this show is out on Epic, we've got The Bridge. But on the Epic Game Launcher, but they've done a 12 Days of Christmas, and they had Ape Out as well, but Celeste, Into the Breach, Little Inferno, Super Hot, Darksiders 1 and 2, and Steep, just to name a few of the ones that they've given. And they've given away 50 games in the last year.
Which I think is just it's so hard to believe. Like, the value, I think, was $1,200 or something if you added it up. Like, I suppose some at full price. But I haven't bought one single game on Epic Store. But because I've linked my Xbox account to Epic, I just automatically clicked download, and like I played Into the Breach, I played I finished Darksiders 1 and 2. They're up there with my 2 favorite games as well. I finished them on multiple consoles. It's gas that they can give away that much games, but apparently the revenue was huge as well. They made 800 or 900 million in sales last year alone, if I read that right as well.
Yeah.
So fair play to them. They're doing something right.
Yeah. Which is why they can give so much away, I suppose.
Maybe,
as well.
yeah.
But I mean, I've only bought one game on that store, and that's been Borderlands 3 because it's exclusive to them.
That's true. Yeah, great game.
Yeah. So with that, let's go on to our gaming this week. And I might as well use that as a segue to talk about Borderlands 3. So it's the fourth in the loot-driven shooter series. It takes place 7 years after the Handsome Jack's death in Borderlands 2 and a downfall of the Hyperion Corporation in Tales of the Borderlands. Several characters from the past Borderlands make a return. Previously playable Vault Hunter, Claptrap, Zero, May, Brick, Modisa, is it? Appear as NPCs assisting the player.
Yeah.
Aurelia, Sir Hammerlock's sister, and one of the playable Vault Hunters in Borderlands, the pre-sequel, also appear as bosses. So basically the story is responding from a call to the Crimson Raiders. A new team of Vault Hunters, known as Amara, Mose, Zane, or Flak, arrive at Pandora. The Crimson Raiders have been put on the brink of annihilation at the hands of the Children of the Vault, and you meet Lilith, who orders them to recover a vault map that was lost years ago but recently ended up in the hands of the Children of the Vault. You leave Pandora in search of new vaults in the galaxy after you've got the map, and on from there. And I know that you've completed this game, Alan.
Yeah,
I'm a much further behind than that. But it does open up an awful lot when you actually get off Pandora, doesn't it?
I think, last year it's the game I put. I think I put close to 70, 80 hours now, and I've actually had the DLC to start this week. I didn't like Borderlands 1 and 2. I tried them. They were okay, and for some reason Borderlands 3, I put it in, and I was hooked straight away. Not so much the story, it was just more the gameplay, the guns. I played the whole thing as Flak with his pet, and I got so much into it, I actually started watching YouTube videos on how to better builds, so that you can have a bullet return when you shoot a bullet, the critical hits, how to upscale your pet for better. He'll revive you, he'll attack while you're being attacked. There's so much actually depth to the game, even to win the cars that you find through the universe that you take back to the garage to upgrade your car so that you can have better weapons, better armor, because when you get into some of the planets, they open up huge. Like even some of the side quests, they're on the level of Witcher, some of them, because you go through this little, like a kind of a door, we'll say. It'll load up, then it'll just say you have to go meet someone, we'll say, on a different part of the planet. You'll teleport through the door, and then you'll go and you'll open the map, and when you open the map, you have to zoom out to see how big the map actually is. So what I will say is upgrading the car or one of those unicycles or that you pick up is huge. And the other thing which I learned on earlier on was getting gold keys. There's Twitter accounts that you can follow, main Twitter ones. If you go and log on to the main Borderlands page, there's a VIP section for code redemptions, and in there then you can get codes for shift keys, which gives you gold keys to open a gold chest on your ship. Now I didn't do that until like level 20 onwards, then it starts dropping really great shields, bombs. Some bombs you throw when they explode on contact, they actually explode with money. The more damage you do, so you pick up extra money that you can go back to the ship to buy upgrades for your backpack, for like trinkets, for skins, for a lot of stuff that we enjoy. And then they release every couple of weeks. There's like redeem a diamond code, redeem a vault code. you kind of have to invest in it. So I have the Twitter page, so I follow them, and they release all these things. You just get the code, you install it, or you put it, and then it automatically adds it into your game once your Xbox account is. But the more you go into the game, now I played it during the Halloween event as well, when they turned, once you killed someone in the Halloween event, an actual ghost came out of the dead body, and it would float away like a skull or to come and attack you. So it actually made the game harder to play through as a single player, which I kind of spoiled a little bit because it kind of made the game a little bit harder because you had extra enemies coming at you. But if you were quick enough to get some of the guys that were floating away, they dropped a massive legendary weapons, gold weapons. So it really was. I could talk all day about it, but I would recommend playing as Flak if you like. If anyone's thinking of playing it, for me it was, I suppose, the same as you, Steve. Are you heading the way you boys got into Destiny 2 and your weapons and all the? It's kind of a more simplified version of that. I'm guessing maybe that's why I liked it so much. It wasn't too complicated for me, but and then like the end game stuff was mad. Like it took a while for the end game stuff to come true, and I played the whole game solo. I didn't play with co-op or anything. And some of the bosses were crazy. You had to really plan your weapons. Some weapons would do more damage to flesh. Some weapons would do more damage to armor. So you really had some armor you put on, shields would regenerate as you shot, or they regenerate as explosions went around you. So there was a lot of in-depth stuff you had to read in it. So for me, it was one of my games of the year last year. I loved it, and I'm still playing it today. And usually I kind of buy a game and resell it, or this one I kept. So that for me, that tells a lot, because I like to get my money back as well. So
yeah, there are some games that just stick with you, aren't they? And I mean, in terms of it, the skill tree looks relatively simple, but it's actually very complex.
No, it's not. You can re-skill as well in the ship for a price if you didn't know that, Steve, or Hayden. You can go to the ship and you can redo your loadout or your tree. And your tree is actually very important, because as you go down, you'll see if you connect critical hits with bullets back, you could have a gun that shoots 600 bullets at once, but you never have to reload. And trust me, as you go into some of the bosses, you need it, because some of those bosses they're huge, and
the bullet sponges.
Yeah, they're sponges. So you literally, once you reload, they attack you. You're gone. So that's what I liked about it. I spent hours just reading stuff and trying to find what was the best tree to find, and so it was good. Skill trees to build out. So yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Hayden. It's great.
Yeah, definitely enjoying it. I mean, in terms of it, I've not progressed that super far. I've got off the planet. I'm starting to do missions like that. Picked up the unicycle thing, which looks a bit like General Grievous's motorcycle, doesn't it, from Star Wars? But because I've played this on Xbox and PC, one of the things that I got on the Xbox is, and this is a common problem, evidently, and I'm surprised that, because I think you said that you hadn't had
not
this.
One problem. No, I had no glitches at all, which I'm lucky about, thankfully.
Well, what happened with mine is, when you were still on Pandora, when you find the guy who's hung upside down, I think he is. Yeah. Well, going into that area, every time I went out, cleared out all of the enemies in the area before, went in and it went onto the cutscene, and the Xbox switched off straight away.
Just a complete switch off.
Switch off, and then when I restarted it,
at the same point every time?
Same point every time. And when I restarted it said your Xbox was overheated, and it kept doing this.
No, unless they released a patch. I got past that stage, and maybe a patch had been brought in and just had been affecting you as a new player.
You'd already played it. You'd already completed it. So I don't know whether it's something that they introduced
a new patch,
but maybe, evidently it's something that they were going to patch out as well. But that I don't think that they had at that time. Well, they hadn't at that time. But if you switched it over to performance mode from enhanced mode, it didn't happen.
Well, I played all mine enhanced mode anyway. I didn't play performance. So I like the graphics. So.
Well, to be honest, I didn't even notice any difference between the enhanced and the performance.
I did know when I switched over back and forward. I noticed it. Right, I definitely noticed it.
I didn't notice it at all, but it's a great game. I mean, it captures the humour of Borderlands. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I didn't really rate Borderlands 1 and 2.
No.
I actually got into Borderlands because of Tales of the Borderlands.
Oh, that drew you in, did it?
Yeah, that's what
the Telltale
started
game,
to
was
get
it?
me to enjoy it. Yeah, it was. I quite like the humour, quite like, the sort of like story bit of it.
But saying that, then it's different writers for this one. That was one of the biggest things I think a lot of people complained was the humour in this one. They didn't like the writing or the story as much as 1 and 2. A lot of the hardcore people, it was a different writer or different voices as well, and for Claptrap and stuff. So I suppose maybe I didn't really know about 1 and 2 that much. I didn't like them. I think maybe that's why I enjoyed 3 so much. Maybe it just suited my humour.
Well, a lot of people did like it. I mean, it wasn't a bad game, was it?
No, it was good, but there was a lot of discord online about the story and the voices and the actors they chose. So
I just couldn't get on with them. I did play the others, but it's just wasn't for me, I think.
I think that this is one of those games that was initially, I think, met with mixed feelings, but it's one of those ones that is slowly winning people over.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you look now, there's a lot more positive about it than there was when it was first launched.
Definitely, and it was on a lot of people's top 10 podcasters games of the year. There's a few guys had it on it, or honorable mention, So I'd recommend anyone if anyone likes. It's a great shooter. It's leave your brain at the door sometimes and just shoot and drive. There's some good puzzles. There's some good stories in it. It's a good game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely I enjoyed it. Okay, so my next game is Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
This was one of my completions of last year. The game's set, obviously, in the Star Wars universe. 5 years after the Episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith, and 14 years before A New Hope. You play a young Jedi Padawan named Cal Kestis. Following an accident in the shipyards where you work, and you're forced to reveal that you've got Force powers, you're pursued by the Empire and are rescued by a former Jedi Knight, Siri Junda, and her partner, Grease Dritus, and in their ship, the Stinger Mantis. You then go on a quest to search the galaxy to find a vault, and that when you find this Jedi vault, you find out that the Jedi holocron, which was inside it, has gone missing. And it contains a list of all of the Force-sensitive children in the galaxy. So to stop the Empire from being able to get hold of it, you go off in search of it. There's loads of different locations to get acquainted with. So, for example, anybody who's watched the Clone Wars or Rebels will recognise some of the locations. So, for example, I think one of the places that you go is the planet where Darth Maul came from. Graphically, the game looks good, and the combat's very enjoyable. It is, quite a flowy sort of combat in the game.
I found it very similar to like Batman Arkham style.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
That's what I found.
And it's quite Dark Soul-ish.
Yeah.
As well, because if you die, you go back to the last sort of checkpoint, and then your XP and everything that you earn is available for a limited amount of time.
And everything's respawned again if you rest, isn't it?
How do you find that mechanic for the Star Wars game? Is it a problem or not? Or is it? No,
it's not a problem at all. It played really well. It wasn't as overbearing as like the Dark Soul games are. There wasn't that, sort of like more sinister feeling that there is in those sort of games. This is a Star Wars game at the end of the day. But every time you revisit a location, all of the enemies have reset the same as Dark Souls as well, or the same as the Surge. The Surge is another version of that sort of game as well. And this is no different really. But yeah, really enjoyable game. There's no microtransactions. It's solely single player game as well. The music's very fitting for the game franchise, and the story's really good as well. And I think that the Padawan that you play is actually played by the guy who played the Joker in Gotham.
Yeah, he's very good. He was a great Joker, I will say. He played him. He actually played himself and his twin brother, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, he played two versions of the Joker, sort of like the Jerome version, and then like the horrific Joker, which was right at the end of the series.
And he's a ginger, which I think is important as well. You know, us gingers are.
Well, you can't hold that against him.
I've played a bit of this now so far. I'm going to go back to it. I found the map in the beginning difficult. The map is not the best. But I quite like when they give you, like, they want you to go back to areas when you upgrade powers. If you look on the map, things are red. That means that you can't go through that door yet. So it's very Metrovania, that style, where you get an upgrade of a bomb. You can go back 6 levels and then you go through the door. And you can go into opens up something new, which I thought was an interesting take on the style as well. But that map is a disaster.
It's not a good map, but I don't know whether or not you noticed, but the map's also in sections, and it says how much you've got left to do in each section, not the whole map, which is much more helpful once you start to be able to navigate through the map.
Yeah, and I wish they had a bit more of fast travel on the bigger maps, because sometimes you have to go always back to your ship, and to get back sometimes I found a little bit difficult. You were kind of looking at the map. Am I going up? Am I going down? Do I go across the bridge? Do I run? There was a lot of Uncharted feeling as well to it, and I actually felt a lot of Prince of Persia traversal. That old style where you run and it's kind of like the one click, like a rhythm game. You click as you to swing, and you do it in time to go quickly across crevasses or different sections. So there's a lot of games in it, like from God of War, from Metrovania, it had a lot of the good parts from everything, put it together. I feel so far from the 3 or 4 hours I've played, maybe 4 or 5 hours actually, and it doesn't do everything well, but when it's together, it does it all well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you know? It's an enjoyable game. It's an enjoyable Star Wars game, which is something that we've been crying out for.
Well, I think it's an enjoyable Star Wars story, which we've been crying out for.
Yes, yeah.
Is it worth picking up? So I'm looking at CD keys and it's 26.79.
I would say 100% yes for me. It's a. If you see it on sale, I'd pick it up. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. It's $69.99 reduced to $26.79.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would get it for that. It's well worth it.
And just be patient with the map. Eventually, I found after an hour or two, I got used to the map. But first off, it is quite disorientating, I found. It's
overwhelming, maybe?
No, it's not. It just comes up in a 3D format that you have to kind of... It's actually like the Doom one. There's levels and layers, and you have to spin it to see where you are. And I just...
It's not a flat map. It's a three-dimensional map, and you've got to move up and down and stuff like that,
But a great game. So far, I'm enjoying it. Now I'm only 4 hours in, so that's kind of saying, "Oh my god!" I'm going back to it. The next few weeks, I have a list of about 5-6 games I'm heading back to play. So I'll have more to say over the next few weeks, hopefully, on it.
You'll be starting to threaten my 4 completions in the
I need 50 hours a day for that.
You ain't got enough tight hours in a day, is it?
No, and I don't sleep at night either, as Hayden knows, because we often chat at night and stuff. I don't know, but like I said, I could go for a run at 2 o'clock in the morning, so on a spur. So everybody to their own.
So that's Star Wars. My last game I want to talk about is one that's actually on Game Pass, and it's a double bubble for Gamerscore because there's a PC version and an Xbox version.
Achievement Horse. To know that.
Achievement Horse. So I'm on the Xbox one now after completing the PC version, and that is my friend Pedro. So this is a 2.5D scrolling platform action puzzle game. Best way I can describe it. And you play a guy who's in a gimp mask, who commits murder under the instructions of
He's
a
just
banana.
like in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, sort of. So basically, this is one of those ones where you get awarded points for each successful hit from the player, while each kill will increase the point multiplier.
Right.
But if you get hit, then that downgrades it as well. So players are given a rank at the end of each level based on their total number of points. So, A, B, C, or if you've done really well, an S level. And for want of a better pun, the game is utterly bananas, as it sounds, but it is also really quite good fun. You're able to do different forms of killing other than with just guns, so you can kick things into people's heads and stuff like that. There's a great thing where you can actually bounce bullets off things. So there's, in some places where you can shoot and bullets will bounce off. But also there's some objects like you can throw a frying pan up in the air and shoot the frying pan, and that will split the bullets in different ways and allow you to shoot round corners. And it's just such good fun when you actually do that as well.
It looks like that Max Payne kind of slow motion taken to the extreme.
Yeah, I was going to say you also get a bullet time slow motion moves as well, which you can trigger on and off when you want. There is a timer for that, and then that recharges. But you can trigger it on and off whenever you like, and obviously that allows you to do, more controlled moves. You can have two guns, and you can fire in different directions as well. At the same time, so sort of it makes you feel a bit like RoboCop in that kind of respect. It's like a traditional style platform gameplay, but it's broken up with different sequences as well, such as there's a bit where you're riding on a motorbike and are pursued by people in cars. Or another one where you jump off a tall building and you're falling from the building, and other people are falling with you and you shoot.
I'm just looking at that scene now. I'm just looking at the preview of the video. Mental.
It is mental. It's on Game Pass, so it's free for you to be able to play if you're already subscribed to that. And it's also available on the Switch as well, which I imagine would fit on that.
PC.
And PC, because it's on PC and Xbox
just
on
the way
Game
it said
Pass.
It on there, just said it, the way it came up with this video was just saying it's on all three of us.
And have you finished this game, Hayden? Is this one of your games?
Is
it a long game?
Yeah. It's probably about 4 hours, 5 hours.
Okay, I might get into Switch. It's a good one for. It looks interesting.
Well, I would download it on the Xbox, see what you think.
No, I
first.
just think if I'm at work or something, we're quiet now. For the next few weeks, there'll be times at work where I'm quiet. I can pick up the Switch and have a go. It looks interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's some bits where you can jump on a skateboard and do a Tony Hawk through the place.
Yeah, that's one video I'm looking now. It looks quite good.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good game.
But my favourite bit, though, was throwing the frying pan up in the air and shooting people around corners.
And how the controls? Is it easy to control, or does it take time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's easy to control.
It looks like
really
those bullets.
It
looks crazy.
It is. But the bullet time thing obviously helps. And the other thing you can do as well is, if you're reloading, you can spin. So when you spin, people can't shoot you.
Perfect.
Sort of thing, because, you're dodging the bullets.
Perfect.
That's like the dodge move. So, yeah, a great game to have a crack at. So, Steve, do you want to tell us about Kindom Hearts 3?
Yeah, now, I did play a little bit of Kindom Hearts 2 point something. Can't remember. And graphically it was a little bit poor, and I just couldn't get myself to play it, to be honest. But this game has been been waiting for years for a lot of fans of the series. And I've been watching it now. Actually, it came out nearly a year ago, believe it or not. It was January last year. And I kept looking at it thinking, yeah, it's very expensive. I'm not going to go there. And then I saw it on sale over Christmas. So, like a fly drawn to one of those glowing lamps in the desert.
That's not what I was going to say, but never mind.
yeah. so I picked it up, and I'm pleasantly surprised because I know this is not everyone's cup of tea. But with the gameplay, the realism with the Disney characters, they're incredible. The graphically wise, it just knocks it out of the park. And even the intro, it takes a while. You're sitting there with a cup of tea for about half an hour, I think.
Yeah, I've heard that the intro is supposed it's supposed to be very good. It's actually supposed to be very good to watch. Sit down.
Yes, it is. It is. It sounds incredible as well. And a lot of people probably know more about the game now. It's been out nearly a year.
Yeah.
But I'm just coming to the end of the first area, which is obviously Disney cartoon Hercules.
Disney. Yeah.
And the characters are just looking like the characters if you were watching that Disney cartoon. I just can't wait to get to the later ones with Pixar, because that's going to be. I've not looked at any footage, so I don't know what to expect.
Well, from what I've heard later on, it's they actually spent nice money. It's all original songs, original voices, and a lot of, especially the Frozen sections.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of. So I think that's what is appealing to a lot of people as well. You know,
it is, and even say when some of the cast. I mean, I don't think in the first characters for Hercules, the bad character. I think he's called Hades. Remember rightly? He even sounds like. I don't think he is the actor that played it originally, James Woods.
James Woods, yeah.
But it sounds like him.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually looked at it in the movie database. And obviously, one of Hayden's favourite shows, and I've drifted away from it because she was the girl that was in. We were talking about earlier on the Netflix show, Good Place.
Good Place, yes.
Because she's in it as well, isn't she? So.
Yeah, she plays
Kristen Bell.
She plays one of the characters from Frozen.
That's right.
Yeah,
and she actually does it on this as well.
There's a lot of characters from Disney in it. I think they spent a lot of money on that, like getting the original casts from a lot of the shows.
Must have cost them a fortune.
Well, it took long enough to make as well. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think what you have to do is you've got to imagine that all these actors and these actors have come together out of their schedule to do their voiceovers. And with all the other stuff they do, I can see why it could take a long time from that point of view.
I might pick it up someday. It's very, very cheap here. You can get it like for €5 or €6 now in the shop. But,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah, it's very cheap. It's been very cheap here very fast. It didn't... Maybe it'll come on Game Pass when all the new stuff that's coming out.
I think it's supposed to be, isn't it, at some point?
It hasn't been announced. The 2.1 and 2...
all the others,
Yes. The original ones have. Now, this one hasn't.
Just going on from this, from what we were talking about earlier with the Kindom Hearts 3 Remind. Mm-hmm. Now, this is going to be DLC.
Yeah.
And what they say is in the leading months to the release of Kindom Hearts 3, last year fans were already curious about what having to see for post-launch for DLC. Developers would not give many answers, but their wishes have finally come true this month. And they're going to have the characters from Final Fantasy being brought into the game.
Okay.
So that will be good, because I do love my Final Fantasy. So I'm assuming you can buy the DLC separately anyway.
Ah, yeah. I'm guessing you can.
Just to tag it onto the game you've got now, or you can, or they're going to repackage it for this piece of DLC. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm a bit stuck on the last part of the big bosses. There's 3 of them together. But it's not forgiving for when you die. I tell you that for nothing.
Right.
You go back to a checkpoint and you've got to start those 3 bosses again.
And is it that Final Fantasy style like game, or is this free
yes?
flowing?
No. You've got the idea of spells and how you're going to use your characters. So if you do die and you go back, you want to go back and just readjust what your characters are wearing. The same way with Final Fantasy, if you had like some rings and boots on that would help you to be a certain way with a character and so on and so forth. So that's got all those mechanics in the game.
Okay.
So that's what I think appealed to me more, because I love Final Fantasy as a series.
So you're excited for 7, so aren't you, the remake?
Oh God, yeah. I'm on the fence about this being made over time.
Chapters?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they just started production.
Well, hold on to those questions because we've got a question later on about that.
Okay. No problem. Rewind.
Sorry, Steve. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
It's all right.
So anyway, this did take away a little bit of time for Destiny over Christmas as well.
Oh no, heaven forbid.
I know. It's a pause for thought there. I need to have
Bungie's stock shares went down by 50%.
They went up by $24.99. I think for me. What I did was I've ordered a T-shirt for Australia.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I've seen they're actually quite nice. The ones to support Australia, is it? Yeah, even I was interested. I thought, wow, that's a great idea, and it's something for us people who are into this kind of culture and geeks and nerds and pop culture. It's a great idea, you know.
And I've got friends in Australia, and they're having a really rough time with it. So I think by doing this, you're contributing in a way, you know.
Yeah.
And I think
I might have a look myself. So
in a way that everybody wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there was a tweet from Bungie saying how much they got for in 24 hours, because you do get a couple of shaders, bits and pieces as well. So
right,
and banners for your character in Destiny 2. So yeah,
your emblems.
Good, sounds interesting.
Okay, Alan, this is your first one. Fire away.
Well, I won't spend too long because my gamings are like yourself. I'm finding time. I recently picked up Judgement on PS4. No, I've been waiting a while to get this one. It's developed and published by Sega. It's official for PlayStation 4. It's exclusive, and it's a kind of a spin-off from the Yakuza series. If anyone's played those, no,
I've still to play. I do have a couple on disc that I've not put in yet.
I think, Steve, when they come out on the Xbox Game Pass, you have to, and I'll give you the order to play in because they're kind of out of sync now. They did recently the new ones, Yakuza 0. They were made a couple of years after, so it's a prequel to the one.
I do have a couple of discs on the PlayStation that I've got to play, but maybe I need to hold them back a bit then.
I think it's like you have to kind of play them in order now, so I'll give you information on that. Don't worry. I love the Yakuza series. I've played them all, and I actually play them. Well, even the Yakuza series, they're not actually dubbed in English. There's no English sound voices in it. It's all the original dialect. So, this Judgment, they actually put English-speaking actors into it, but I didn't play it that way. I played it with subtitles and the original Japanese. I'm a huge South Korea, Asia film fan. I love those kind of styles. The story is actually based on what happens in Japan at the moment, that the conviction rate is actually 99.5% to 99%, nearly 100% conviction rate. If you go to court, you pretty much go to jail. And it's based on a lawyer who, I'm going to get his name wrong now, but it's Taki, they call him in the show, in the game. And he's a lawyer who actually got someone off. So he becomes very much in demand. But the guy who he actually helped get off, he got him out of jail, he actually went away and murdered his girlfriend and burnt down the house. So then Taki kind of goes off the wall and he becomes a detective. He can't be a lawyer anymore, so he has a Yakuza bodyguard who's left the Yakuza, and he helps him do his cases and stuff. So it's a very interesting story. It's like, again, the cutscenes are up there with Metal Gear cutscenes. They go on for 30-40 minutes, but they're brilliant. It's so a case kind of appears about a serial killer and there's bodies appearing around the city. Eyes are missing, different parts of their bodies are missing, and it just you kind of go and you investigate the murders. As a detective, you're hired and you go back into your old law firm to get information on it. It kind of all connects in back. I'm only about 10 hours into it. But again, it's that Yakuza craziness. There's you can go into different shops to eat food. You actually can stop and talk to people and they'll give you side quests where you can go and play. You can actually go and play different games inside in the stores. You can go and play video games, Outrun, all that madness that you get from Yakuza games. I'm loving.
It's like the Japanese version of GTA.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I actually think it's like the look of it is stunning on the PS Pro 4. It's the way the city is developed. It's very neon look to it.
Blade Runnerish.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. So I'm loving that. I'm going to finish that definitely. My next game is a PC game. It's Slay the Spire, and it's a card game. It's a roguelike deck building card game. And this one, I've never really liked card games before, and I tried it when it came on the Game Pass, and I'm loving it. It's you fight your way kind of through a randomly generated map, so you choose the direction you want to go to get to the boss. You build your deck cards out through it. Each card has different abilities, but it's done like that kind of real-time strategy, kind of Final Fantasy look. You have characters on screen battling. So you draw your card to attack, and you'll do a swipe of your sword, and you jump back, and then you've got 3 cards to choose from. So your last card you could choose defend before you get attacked. So it's all about building out your deck, your cards. No, I was putting like every card I could think into my deck, thinking, wow, I've got so many cards here. But I actually ended up, what was happening then, your cards are drawn on trees, like solitaire. It's very similar to solitaire. It's drawn. And when so what I was finding was that I was getting cards drawn that were just low hit markers or low defense markers. So then I was thinking, well, I don't have to have that big a deck. Now, it does cut down on your turns, but if I have one with like a 10 hit marker with 3 defending, I was getting better kills and I was getting to the bosses faster. But then as you choose your direction, it's like a snakes and ladders. You kind of wind your way to the boss at the top, but you can choose to go for a chest to upgrade your card, or there could be one next to it. You could choose to fight a smaller boss to get more experience, or you could choose to rest to rebuild your experience. So it's very much a strategy to get to the boss to finish it. I'm really enjoying it. It's fantastic, and the fact that it's free on Game Pass again is just not free. Obviously, you're paying a subscription. Great if you like deck card games, well worth a game. It's roguelike, so every time you play it, it's a different. It's never this. It's randomized completely. So that's a good one. And then my last one on the Switch is Children of Mortar. I think it's how you pronounce it. This one it's kind of a Diablo-esque style game. The story in it is fantastic. It's very pixelated graphics, but they're very colourful pixels. You have 6. You start off with just one of the family members, Bergson family members, in their house, and you're sent out to do something by the dad. And as you go out into a kind of a dungeon, you kind of go out with nothing, and you don't really know what you're supposed to do. And you kind of die within 15-20 minutes, and you kind of go, well, whoa, what happened there? But then as you go back to the house again, you upgrade then as you go back. So you upgrade it's very kind of like Dead Souls, I think. The more you do, the farther you go on the run, the farther you upgrade, you know. And then you unlock other members, and they become like a range attack, or they could become arrow attacks, and then as you go into dungeons, you can choose which member you want. It becomes very strategic. Certain characters will do better in certain levels as you move down through the levels, and you upgrade them to get their individual skill trees to unlock more abilities. And again, it's just a nice pick up and play. You can play for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, upgrade one character, and again, it's cheap on the Switch as well, and I think it's actually free on Game Pass this week as well, which again is crazy to me. Like I paid money for it, now it's free on Game Pass, you know. And that's it. Those 3 games I'm playing at the moment, and I'm playing The Witcher, kind of on and off because I watched the TV show and it drew me back in. Well, so,
yeah.
I'm one of the people that got sucked back in after watching the TV show, so a lot of people were as well. So yeah, that's my first what I've been playing, lads. I hope it was okay. I'll improve as I go on. So, and this after listening to you, there's a couple of more games now on my list. So,
well, we'll look forward to hearing what you've got to say about them next week. All right, so in that case, then that's gaming for this week. So we'll move on to movies, TV, and streaming. All right, so movies, TV and streaming, and a couple of bits of news. First off, we've got Johnny Marr to work on James Bond's score with Hans Zimmer. Steve, I'm surprised you didn't bring this one in, actually.
No, I'm really, really not happy with that, to be honest.
Really, really?
No, I'm not. I don't want Hans Zimmer to do it.
Why?
I don't think he will pull it off, personally.
Okay. Well, the former Smiths guitarist Johnny Marr is set to work with Hollywood composer Hans Zimmer on the music for No Time to Die, the latest Bond movie. Johnny Marr's previously worked with Zimmer on Inception and The Amazing Spider-Man, and US singer Billie Eilish is going to record the film's theme song, and she's the youngest artist to record the theme tune for a Bond movie at just 18 years of age.
She? Anyone would like to enlighten me on that one?
Not a clue. Never heard of her.
I know her through my daughters, but that's it.
Yeah.
I was hoping that we were going to get someone else to do the score, actually, and I was...
It's an interesting one, yeah.
Because I just think Hans Zimmer is too mainstream with how he does his scoring. I mean, he has done some good ones, don't get me wrong, and I've got a couple sitting up here myself, and I do like the Batman score he did. But no, I was hoping that we were going to get Michael Giacchino to go and do it. I think he would have been more up for it. The way he handled Mission Impossible scores that he's done, I think, was brilliant. So that would have probably been nice, but you can't have everything, I suppose.
No, I suppose not. Anyway, No Time to Die is out on the 2nd of April, but just thinking about Bond, I've been reading a couple of articles with an interview with Barbara Broccoli
I saw
recently,
that.
and she has come out and said, don't expect Bond to be a woman ever, because he's not going to be. But what they did say was, that if they were going to do a female Bond, it would be a different character and with their own sort of like story, etc. But this is what gets me, and this goes back to this age-old argument. I've said all along that if they wanted to do anything different, they should bring in a new character, whether it's a change in skin colour or sex, because it's not right just to pass a character in any direction, like as an iconic character like James Bond. James Bond is quite clearly a white Scottish guy. That's what he was supposed to be in the books, and that's what he basically should be in the films. But what Barbara Broccoli said is Bond might in the future end up being black, or whatever. And to me, that it feels like it's exactly the same argument as why Bond shouldn't be a woman. Do you know what I mean? It should be a different character come in entirely. That have 008 or whatever. Why does the James Bond franchise have to focus around James Bond? It could be just like the British Secret Service franchise, and each film has a different 00. So you could have a female 001 movie, you could have, a male 00,
but
another movie.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but that brand 007 is so iconic. I think, that to bring in a woman or bring in I don't know, will it work, truthfully? Or to spin it off. It becomes a spin-off then, like they did for Hobbs and Shaw, from... I know that... Yeah. I don't know, would that work either, you see?
Times are changing, and they're not changing the right way as far as I'm concerned. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We have the same problem with they were moaning about the Oscar nominations. The directors
and the Golden Globes.
Yeah, and they said about the director nomination had no women in it, and they were moaning about it. Well, obviously, then from this point of view, then there was the nominations were for the best movies at the time for that year, and they happened to all be male directors. I think maybe do you know what I mean?
But I think that their argument is, and you can support the argument, is if they're not being given the good movies to direct, how can they be nominated for best director?
Yeah, I mean, and the film I'm going to talk about a little later. For 2017, a certain woman director should have been nominated for a film I'm going to talk about later, because for someone to bring out a film like that as her first movies that she directs, she deserves credit.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because
it's just, I'm not going to.
The thing is, it doesn't matter whether or not they're a female director, a male director. It doesn't matter whether they've got 2 heads and 27 arms, to be quite honest. It's about what movie that they make. Mm. The difference is it's not like you get anybody who's turning around and saying, right, okay, I want to be a white female Othello.
Yeah, but they brought in that actress, writer Phoebe Mary Weller, who was from the Solo movies, and she did Fleabag, and she did the Killing Eve, and she's been brought in to write No Time to Die, and she's fantastic. Like, I think that's a good move as well.
Because Killing Eve's a great show. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, and she played the robot. Was it L337 in Solo? And Fleabag, if you haven't seen it, is just 2 of the best seasons of TV you'll ever see. And she was brought in purposely to write the Bond story, to start to influence the script and stuff, because they weren't happy. So I think that's interesting, a female writing for the James Bond, such a male-dominated movie, James Bond.
But I seriously don't think it matters what sex people are, because, I mean, look at Star Trek, the amount of great episodes and books that have been wrote by, female authors and, script writers.
Do you think, even with that, for example, with Star Trek Beyond, with Sulu and his character, how that went, I don't think that was too much fuss was kicked off about that, to be honest.
Well, actually, the biggest fuss there was from Sulu himself.
It's ironic, isn't it? Because he's actually gay himself, so
yes.
Bit weird.
Yeah, but that to me though, I think that actually reinforces the argument: is don't change a character
just because
to fit the just because
cultural,
yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, we're seeing. I mean, this is going well off topic, but there's adverts on TV now for cars where you got there's 2 women kissing or something. I'm thinking, what's all that about? What are we trying to show? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's beyond me.
It is
beyond me.
I think we're getting too old. I think that's what it is.
So as well.
I don't mind it. Don't get me wrong, but
we're not going to go there. Let's move on swiftly.
That one.
Anyway, should we carry on?
So next bit of news is Simpsons star Hank Azaria, who was also Phoebe's boyfriend, wasn't she? In Friends, quits The Simpsons as the voice of Apu. He's quit after the recent accusations that the character is racist. Hank, who is a white actor, provided the voice for the Indian shopkeeper for 30 years, but his depiction came under fire in a 2017 documentary entitled The Problem with Apu.
Yeah.
Following in its broadcast, series creator Matt Groening said that the character would not be written out of the show. Now the decision has been made to axe the character, and Hank has told Slash Film, all we know is I won't be doing the voice anymore unless there is some way to transition it or something. So that's a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, but I think he's okay. He does 7 other voices on the show, so...
Yeah.
He's not missing out, is he?
No, and I can see where he's coming from on it, It is quite... If you go back to the older Simpsons episodes, it's, with the current, like we were talking about earlier on, things are changing, times are changing, so...
Well, I mean, it's like looking back at the 2 Ronnies, if you look back at some of their sketches, they don't hold up as well in a politically correct world.
Yeah. They're still great shows, though.
Yeah. Anyway, do you want to tell us about the new Superman and Lois Lane TV series, Alan?
It's just something I saw today. Like yourself, boys, I'm a huge Arrowverse universe. I keep up to date pretty much. I watch them all, except for Black Lightning. I tried. I just couldn't get into that one. And after the new big crossover that just happened, which by all accounts is supposed to be very good, the reviews are good in it, they announced a new Superman and Lois Lane TV show spin-off with the same actors, Tyler and Elizabeth. Now, after watching him in the previous crossover, and he's actually appeared in Supergirl in a couple episodes, I really like him as Superman. I think, and she's actually quite good as Lois Lane. So I think it'll be interesting because apparently it's more it's set in the future where he's married and they have 2 sons as well, from what the rumours are, which it'll be very good.
I wonder if it's a follow-up to the original Lois and Clark, because
because
kind of where that left off.
It is kind of, yes.
Yeah.
They left the planet so she could have the babies, because obviously she couldn't have it on Earth. And then they came back with the two sons. And actually, it's connected as well to the new show Titans, which I know you're watching, Hayden, at the moment. Know how far you've gotten.
I've seen them all.
Yeah, so Connor's in that as well, but he's more as the clone version in Titans with looser. He's taken more from the comics with looser DNA and Clark's DNA. But in the other universe, then they have their own kids, and Connor's one of them as well. So it'll be interesting, because this crossover is actually connected to Titans as well. I won't spoil it for you. We'll do that in a later episodes.
I know how it ends.
Okay, sorry. Well, I won't spoil it for Steve. So
no, do you know what? Because it's obviously see a lot of it on Twitter and obviously other bits and pieces. But I really have stayed away from spoilers for the whole. Well, I know a couple of bits and pieces, obviously. Cause
the last 5 minutes of the last episode rewrite everything. That's all I'll say. So I'll leave it at that, and it sets it up for the future. Yeah. It does a massive rewrite of the multiverse, which was brilliant. No, it's very good.
The multiverse has been more prominent in the show of late now than it ever has been, and I think
it still will be, but it just tightens it, which I thought was very interesting, like the comics did. So look, we'll leave it for a future podcast. I think it's definitely an hour talk on those 5 episodes.
At least.
You do, you know?
Yeah.
So it's good. It's another show to the Arrowverse, and apparently Batwoman has been given a season 2. Supergirl, which I'm surprised, has been given a season 6.
Oh, really? It's really poor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gone poor this year, and of course Arrow's finishing. So and then Stargirl was taken off. That was supposed to be going to a streaming service, but apparently they liked it so much that it's actually going on to CW now as a new show.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah, and that's continued.
The trailer for it looks pretty good, actually. It does have vibes of other things we've seen in the past, but you know.
Well, I've seen more stuff now. I'm slowly getting interested, and I try and make myself watch Black Lightning. I just can't watch it. I don't like that character.
Yeah. I have to admit, I do think that it's quite ironic when you look at the Marvel do the movies marvellously.
Yeah.
Whereas DC don't do the movies well.
No, but the TV shows are very good.
But the TV shows are really good, whereas apart from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Marvel TV shows have not been so good.
Well, I'll argue, Daredevil and The Punisher, I really enjoyed, and the second season of
Jessica
Iron
Jones?
Fist.
Iron
Fist, the second season was very good. The first season was terrible. So, but they're gone off Netflix now, never to be seen again. So,
no,
shame.
It is.
Yeah. So that's good, interesting news. I thought so. I choose it there.
Okay. So, Steve, do you want to do cinema releases?
Okay. Let's have a look. So, there we go. Sorry. Right. So 5 down up to 1. We got Jumanji.
No, that's a chart. So we're doing cinema releases.
Oh, sorry.
You're skipping ahead.
Sorry, no. It's the wine. It's flowing well. Okay. So, where is it? There we go. Let's see. I'm getting old in my old age. So 24th of Jan, we've got Panga. We have the personal history of David Copperfield, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Turning, and another version of The Grudge is coming out. So I might even get to see that at some point, because I do love me horror movies.
Well, from what I've heard, Steve, I think maybe wait for it to come out on Blu-ray or something.
Or on Sky, yeah.
Yeah, the reviews are absolutely terrible for it.
I mean, I've gone back to watching The Ring of late, as you know, I can't find The Rings anywhere to stream, because I want to watch that one. Yeah, that's one I've not seen.
Well, you probably see them on YouTube, maybe. They show a lot of those. Is it the original version, the Asian version?
It's called Rings. It's a recent version.
Oh, the new ones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I've seen them. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen The Ring and The Ring 2, which came out some time ago. But the one called The Rings, I'm pretty much interested in to see what that one's like. But,
I'll have a look for you and see what I can see. Maybe I'll find a.
Okay.
Okay.
Who's doing DVD releases?
I'll do the DVD releases. So the ones I've picked out, Jane Silent Bob reboot.
I've seen that. It's very good.
Yeah, want to see that.
Very funny.
Twin Peaks from Z to A, the Blu-ray box set. There's also Twin Peaks season 1 to 3, and also Van Helsing season 3 as well. Thinking about Van Helsing, did you guys see Dracula over Christmas?
Of course.
No, my wife watched it. She liked it. She enjoyed it.
It was brilliant, I thought.
Yeah, she didn't like the ending, I think, but she enjoyed it.
No, it petered off. I think the best episode was episode 1.
Yeah.
2 was okay, but then without saying anything, the last 5 minutes spoilt it, and then the last one, it is what it is. I'd have preferred it to have gone in a different direction, but if you watch it, you'll see what I mean by that. Without saying too much, 'cause it's still recent and it's available on BBC iPlayer as we speak.
Yeah. So, charts. I'll do the UK charts. Alan, do you want to do the worldwide? And then Steve, you could do the Blu-ray. So, at number 5 for the UK charts, we've got Jumanji: The Next Level. Number 4, The Gentleman. Number 3, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Number 2, Little Women. And at number 1, movie I'm going to see this week, actually, 1917.
Yeah, seeing that is brilliant.
Yeah, there's a bit of a question on the direction of the movie, but a lot of people keep telling me it's a bit of a distraction, but we'll see what you thought.
I found it fascinating. I thought it was the way it was filmed, the style of it was amazing. It's all one shot. It's very like God of War, and it actually felt more like a video game style camera, which I mean might sound like, oh God, don't go watch it, it's a video game. It's not. You're just drawn into it. It has to be seen on the big screen. It's
from what I've seen, I think it's it's like the Second World War, First World War version of Cloverfield, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah.
With the story of Private Ryan, but there you go. Maybe.
An unusual combination.
I would actually rate it better than Private Ryan, for me personally. Yeah, it's absolutely you're so drawn into the movie. It's just it's so hard to explain, because there's scenes where they're walking across no man's land, and there's like these huge craters, and like the camera stays behind them, and then it slowly tracks to the side as they fall into and you're like, and then it goes in front of them, and all you see is their footprints in the mud, and nothing else. No other, like the guys carrying the camera, and you're like how did they? I'm more looking forward to watching how they made it, because I'd say they came up with some amazing wire work and guys hanging off stuff to track them. For some scenes are like 15 minutes long, non-stop, and there's like battles going on in the background 2 miles away. Like to watch it in 4K, you will see stuff in the background. I'd say
they filmed that not far from me, actually, in Salisbury Plain.
Oh, it's a must watch. It definitely is a must watch. For me, it's my movie. I know it's early in the year, but from last year, it would have been up there, you know.
Yeah,
because I think that one of the movies that had one of the longest continuous action sequences before this was Children of Men, wasn't it?
No, I think what was that one with he plays he's from the X-Men. What was that movie? The war one, and it's on the beach. I have to think about
Dunkirk.
No, it's not Dunkirk. It's the one about he goes to war because he gets accused. Saoirse Cohen, the Irish actress in it, and she accuses him of raping her, and he goes off to war then to fight in the war, and he gets trapped. It's done during Dunkirk, and there's one track shot in that. I can't think of the name, but I'll have to Google it later on. That has the official, and that's been voted one of the best cinema sequences of all time as well. What was the name of it? I can't think of it now. It's blanking. Sorry, lads.
That's right.
It's all right. But that Children of Men, that one, that had a really long single action shot going right the way through a building.
Yeah.
I remember watching it and being quite impressed with the way that they'd done that.
Atonement. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's
And it's one shot on the beach, and it took months to prepare, and it's just stunning to watch. Good movie, actually, as well, if anyone wants to watch it.
Yeah. Okay, Alan, do you want to do the worldwide charts that you
I'll
put
do
in?
quickly there for you, lads. 1917 is number 1, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Number 2, Jumanji. 3, Just Mercy, which I'm looking forward to seeing. Number 4, Like a Boss. 5, Little Women, which is a 4th remake of this movie. Underwater, which looks interesting. It's kind of The Abyss meets Aliens. That looks interesting. That's number 7. Frozen 2.
Isn't that just The Abyss?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I suppose, but that's what the trailer looks like anyway.
Yeah.
Frozen 2, number 8, Knives Out, which I'll talk about in a minute, number 9, and Spies in Disguise, which is a cartoon, which apparently is supposed to be quite good. It's I think it's Samuel L. Jackson is doing the voice for that, number 10. So an interesting top 10.
No, isn't that Spies in Disguise? That's that one with
I thought it was the
Fresh
cartoon.
Prince of Bel-Air, isn't it? What you call him?
Oh, is it Will Smith, is it?
Will Smith, yeah, I'm sure
I
it is.
thought it was Samuel L. Jackson was doing the voices.
I'm sure it's Will Smith is that one.
You're right, actually, Will Smith, yeah.
Because he turns into a bird, didn't it?
That's
doesn't
right.
he? Yeah.
Yeah, I see the trailer. It looks interesting, but it's doing quite well in the box office, so...
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the top 10 worldwide.
Cool, thank you. Steve, do you want to do the Blu-ray?
Okie doke, here we go. So, at 5, down from 3, we got Spider-Man Far From Home, which I still haven't got to see yet, but that's coming on Sky shortly. What I do own, and I haven't seen yet, is from 1 down to 4, we've got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 3 in, we've got, I'm assuming this is It plus It Part 2 at number 3. In at number 2, Rambo Last Blood, fantastic. And then number 1 is It Chapter 2.
Which I watched this week, actually.
How'd you find it?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I really
it's
enjoyed
good, but
it.
it's short. It's a very short movie.
I didn't feel it was that short, to be
I thought it was
honest.
very quick. An hour and 12 minutes or something. If you take the credits out of it.
It didn't feel like that.
Really?
To me,
Yeah, it's a short movie, yeah. I thought it wasn't I enjoyed it, though. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did see it in the shelves when I was in Sainsbury's earlier this week, and I thought, yeah, well, I'll wait and see.
Yeah.
It's not one to actually probably physically own, but I'd like to see it when it comes on Sky.
It's very brutal. That's what I will
Yeah,
say. Some of the deaths are pretty good.
I'm surprised it's a 15.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well, because some are quite
horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to what we've been watching. I'm going to mention one film that I haven't put in the notes quite quickly, but I actually finally got to see, after all these years, The Shawshank Redemption. Because it was on TV, and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to watch this, because I've never, ever fancied this.
And did you know the twist before you watched it?
No, I didn't know anything about it other than it was in a prison. And I sat and I watched this movie, and all I can say is I do not understand what on earth people why they say it's such a great film. I predicted the end of the movie probably about 15, 20 minutes into it that he's obviously going to escape and he's going to get, his friend out as well. I just found the whole thing to be just very cliched and predictable. I was very disappointed, to be honest, because I thought, everybody always goes on about this movie and it just didn't appeal. But anyway, let's move on. So, first thing I've got to see is a Netflix show. It's called Travellers. I don't know if any of you've seen this.
Yeah, you recommended this to me. I haven't watched it yet, but I have it on my list.
Yeah, I have seen it advertised.
Yeah, I've watched all 3 seasons of this, really enjoyed it. Basically, it's a show about people who've been sent back from the future, back in time to save the Earth from a catastrophe that happens in the future. Only the consciousnesses travels back, so they don't have any technology or anything, but they obviously bring with them the knowledge that they can then build the technology in our time. And they inhabit people who were only about to die. So a few seconds before they die, they jump into their body and then, step out of the way of the vehicle that was going to hit them or whatever. So they're not actually killing anybody by jumping into their body who would have lived.
Okay.
Yeah. But as it develops, that there's another faction in the future that does just hop into people's bodies to, who willy-nilly, as it were. And the future's controlled by the director, who sends messages through like child envoys in the past, who will give instructions from the director and then just switch themselves off and be a normal kid again and just carry on.
Okay.
So it's
so
they don't even know that it's happened to them. But it's a really interesting sort of premise. The first season is about them trying to stop an asteroid from colliding with Earth in 3 years in the future. And then the story progresses on through the season to, cover other issues, including, when they make any change to the present, it affects the future, so it affects their end timeline. And, what they do is they go on to this program knowing that they're forfeiting their life in the future. Because if they do what they're supposed to do, it will mean that they won't get born.
Mm.
Or very unlikely that they'll get born. So that's basically the story of it. And there's 3 seasons. It was dropped by Netflix.
That's what I was going to say. Is it an ending that's okay, or
the ending ends it?
Okay, so that's good. I'll watch it.
Yeah, so it's not like what do you call it?
But there's a lot of shows that come away feeling like they've never completed themselves, have they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for example, Watchmen. The end of Watchmen, that leaves it open for a second season, and there's not going to be one, evidently.
Well, that's a rumour. I think there will be. I think it was too big a show for HBO not to do another one.
I can't see it yet, but I don't think it's going to be the same guy.
No, Lindelof isn't
directing
doing it. No.
So anyway, there's 3 seasons of this, and it's definitely worth a watch, and I'm glad that they closed it off properly. But they also left it open at the same time, in a very clever way.
The main character is Eric McCormack, the guy from Will and Grace.
Yes.
Is he kind of strange to watch him be so typecast as Will and Grace?
No,
and that's
not at all.
That series, like the new series.
Yeah, no, not at all. In matter of fact, he's very good.
Okay.
He's very good
That's
in
interesting. I have it on my list. It's going onto the iPad to watch. So
yeah, definitely one to watch. Next show, which I know is one that you've watched as well.
Yeah, so I can jump in here and have a chat as well, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. So it's Lost in Space, so it returns for the second season. It follows on from the last one. I think it's about 7 months after the last one. For me, the first season of Lost in Space, it didn't quite get there for me.
Yeah, I agree with you there,
I wouldn't see it. I only got in a few episodes. I just couldn't watch it. As much as I wanted to.
It's worth sticking with, Steve. It's worth sticking. I agree with you. It's kind of all over the place the first season, but if you stick with it and get to the second season, it's definitely worth it. It becomes a better show. If that makes sense.
To me, I think that season 2 feels a lot better paced than season 1. I think that there is a lot less seemingly pointless bits to the storyline.
Yeah, it kind of changed. Well. It kind of turned into a different show with new characters and different, like they weren't just the main family. It kind of went off in different directions. They were rarely together in the second season, the family, until it came together. You know what I mean? Which I quite liked. Yeah, they all had their own adventures and stuff.
But it feels like the actors themselves were more comfortable in the skins of the characters that they inhabited.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of how it ends, because there is going to be a Lost in Space 3.
Oh, yeah, it's massive for Netflix. It's one of their highest streamed programs. And last season was as well. It's,
And I think that they've painted themselves into a bit of a corner with some of the characters. It'll be interesting to see how they get out of that without some very convenient plot bits. Yeah,
there was a couple of interesting decisions, I thought, in season 2 with certain one character. I was kind of going, I wonder why they did that. And I actually enjoyed the stories without the robot more. I found very, very jarring having him back in it, the robot, But yeah, very good season 2. I binged it, which I quite like doing on Netflix. I think releasing at Christmas is smart, where people are at home. It's quite a good show to sit down and watch
Christmas
with the
family.
family.
Christmas is very quiet for TV this year, don't you think?
Yeah,
it's been very poor this year.
Poor.
Well, I mean, I will mention it when we talk about it later, but there's only one show I actually wanted to watch, and fantastic, really, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. So my last thing I'm going to talk about, which is where I think that we're going to have a difference of opinion, and I might invoke my powers of editor.
No, I'm going to say something. Horses in space do not work. I don't care how you put them on there.
It's crazy.
Okay, so now that you've done the spoiler alert,
there's no spoiler alert.
No, it's in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie there with some laws in it, but we are talking about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. So this is from arguably the worst film in an analogy, or following on from the worst film in an analogy.
Anymore.
No, it's still not the worst film.
The new one's worse.
Honestly, there are episodes of Emmerdale that are better Star Wars movies than The Last Jedi. But basically, I think for me, I may be looking at this in a slightly different way to you guys.
Rose-tinted spectacles?
No, definitely not rose-tinted, but I'm looking at the absolute train wreck that was Star Wars at the end of Rian Johnson's rule, and God, I wish he would never get a directing job again. But J.J. Abrams basically had to close the saga in a way that brought it all together and try and unite a very split fan base. This isn't the movie to end all movies, and certainly not Star Wars movies. What I think it does do is an adequate, if disappointing, job of closing off the saga, but without much explanation of some of the very convenient plot twists that happen in it. It covers a lot of the big questions like who is Rey, the Kylo Ben path, the battle between the Resistance and the First Order.
It takes the safe. Who is Rey? It like none of the plots make sense, Hayden. It doesn't stand up to, like I wrote in my notes. It doesn't stand up to why. Why did they do this? Why did they do that? You can't answer. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Like I found it rushed. The first 20 minutes to 40 minutes, even the crawl, they try to give you as much information as they could in the crawl
because it wasn't existing in the second film.
And that's because they didn't have a plan for the second film. The second film was just a waste of time.
They did have a plan for the third one because the script was released 2 or 3 days ago. The direction they were going to go was it, and I think the director got fired, and I think Kennedy then didn't have the nerve to continue what they were. I think if they'd continued from the Jedi and stuck to their what they wanted to do, it would have been a better movie, a more cohesive movie. I would have made Jedi better. They just decided they got scared because the response to Jedi was like, it was 50-50, well maybe more, but I think the response to this one was even worse, Hayden.
To be honest, I seriously, honestly think if they'd have followed on in the vein of The Last Jedi, the most exciting thing that would have happened would have been that Rey had scratched her ass.
No, what I do know is I'll send you the link to the script, and I read it yesterday. And what the direction they were having, and what Rey was going to be, what they were going to do with Ben. What they like, I think the biggest thing that happened with the new Star Wars was the fact that Princess Leia died, the actress. Yeah. And I think that, because if you read the script for the movie they were going to make, she's in so much of it, and even Rose was in a lot of it with her.
And she was a character who was completely sidelined, and I don't think that was fair on the actress at all.
100%. 1 minute 30 seconds she was in the last movie, the new one.
Yeah.
But they just kept throwing stuff at you. It was like they just kept throwing more stuff.
It was non-stop. But
it wasn't
from what I've seen, and this is, but this is where I'm coming from in it. Is that from what I've seen is that the film was actually supposed to be closer to 3 hours.
Yeah.
With more explanation, all of which was shot, all of which would have made the whole movie a lot more sense.
They needed another 3 movies.
But then Disney got cold feet and cut the film down by about 45-50 minutes. You cut that much content out of a movie, you're going to have a movie that doesn't make quite as much sense. Now, I've followed a lot of the background stuff and, read some of the materials that support it and all of that sort of stuff. So to me, I think considering where the idea was, I think if the JJ cut, which is rumoured to be in existence, ever does come out, I think it will make it a lot better movie. I think as it is, it was a bit of fan service to try and
that's what
recoup.
It was fan service. They got scared from the response from the Jedi, the last one.
Well, it's not surprising because a lot of the fans walked away.
But yet for me, as bad as that movie was, it was better than this one. 100% better.
We'll have to agree to disagree because to me, I would put The Last Jedi as my worst movie of all time, and that would be below Pret-a-Porter, which was my previous worst movie.
I wouldn't say it's that bad, but
I would.
But I think these 3 movies that Disney have made are the worst trilogy out of the 3 trilogies, if that makes sense.
I would completely agree.
Yeah.
I would completely agree.
I think if I was George Lucas now, I'd be sitting down going, yeah, laugh at me now with my prequels. When you go back and rewatch them, they're actually rewatchable. So yeah,
when you actually go back and look at them, they're actually a sort of a very clever work, the way that they actually work.
Because they've actually got 3 films that make a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't go back and watch these 3. I won't. The Force Awakens now, I actually enjoyed it. The first one. But I've gone back and tried watching the Jedi, the last Jedi? And I've turned it off when they go to the gambling planet, because that sequence makes no sense. But I agree with you.
The whole movie, it's a road trip movie. That's all it is.
But then again, the new one is just fan service. It's like watching the last season of, like I said to you, Game of Thrones. They just threw so much information at you. They threw in the part where the first female kiss, or you know what I mean. They threw in stuff just to, again, it goes back to the James Bond stuff. They just threw in stuff just to make everybody happy. And for me personally, I just kept sitting going, why is there horses on a ship? Why are they it just didn't make sense. It was
they did explain that about
I know
the horses on the ship.
And then they set up Lando's character at the end of it with the new female.
Yeah, she is supposed to be his daughter as well.
Yes, and that's for the new TV series which is coming. But like when she met Rey, right, and she said, "Oh, we are defected as well, or we're after defecting from the stormtroopers." For me, if they put a line in there because we heard of you, Finn, and we decided to fight back, you know what I mean? Give it more.
Yeah,
they didn't do that though.
There's no meat on the bone.
No, there's nothing there. It's just.
But the point is, this all goes back to what was in the JJ cut bits.
I think you're blaming, but I think Jedi is getting a lot of blame for this movie, and I think Kennedy, I think Disney, and they have a lot more to do with this movie being, for me, as bad as it was.
Well, Disney.
Kennedy should have been fired after the last movie.
With what's his name taking over.
Yeah, but Disney were putting thumbprints over JJ anyway, so he was under their rule. He wasn't allowed to do what he wanted. Yeah,
exactly. The problem is that Disney have gone into this movie and have tampered with the ideas. The one thing though, I have to admit, it did make me smile, was a bit where Rey throws the lightsaber into the fire and the ghost of Luke catches it, because that really was JJ giving 2 fingers up to Rian Johnson.
And when I watched that, I kind of went, well, how petty do you have to be? You're 2 professional directors. Why do you have to throw your little dig at what he did in his movie? I just felt it became very petty, and it actually destroyed the movie for me. There was a couple of moments like that in the new Star Wars movie where it was just purposely digging at Jedi. But yet, the movie is one of the worst performing movies of all the Star Wars trilogy. It barely made $1 billion because of word of mouth, Steve.
People barely made $1 billion.
Yeah, but
do you know what? Right, Disney.
This movie, like Avengers, should have broken 2 points. It should have been the biggest movie of all time.
Did you know what the cinema had to put up with Disney, though?
Yeah.
So, the takings for Disney, so every showing that was put in, let's say, your local ABC, Disney took 70% of that.
Yeah.
Okay? Also, you were contracted to show it for 4 months.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, they were going to come hard down on you. So, you imagine these little cinemas we got one in Christchurch. They got 1 screen, and they were only allowed, if they were going to do it on their rules, they would have to show it there for 4 weeks. In a single cinema, and they can't afford to do that because they're small cinemas.
Small cinemas, yeah.
You know, it's just frigging wrong that Disney are pushing themselves around like they think they own. Well, they reckon they own too much on all these other, Fox and everyone else now. But I think it's wrong in what they're doing. They're just bunch of arseholes, to be honest. Really.
Oh yeah, because also 21st Century Fox have dropped the Fox bit.
Yeah, it's now Searchlight Productions or something, isn't it? I think it's called.
Yeah. I think what we need to do when it comes out on Blu-ray, if you're interested, and
it's to burn it in front of everyone else. Yeah.
No, I think we do a watch commentary and record it as we're watching it together. Or even do a kind of a commentary, a quick one as we go through it. And it's just an interesting one to break down, I think, movie. You know? For me, it was disappointing. It was very disappointing.
I think this whole trilogy has been an exercise in disappointment because I don't think that they knew who they wanted to make Star Wars for.
Yeah.
And
they wanted to make it for their wallet. That's what they wanted to do.
Yeah. And that's all. They wanted to cash in. They wanted to pay for the fact that they've bought Lucasfilm, which they've done. But I do think that in terms of the fan base, what they've not done is actually served the people who have followed it loyally for 40 years.
Yeah, but at least they gave us Rogue One and Han Solo, which didn't perform, but I actually thought were great movies.
Solo was okay, but I prefer Rogue One, actually, to be honest, out of the two of them.
I watched
Rogue One is the best of all of the new Star Wars movies, definitely, hands down. And in a matter of fact, it's probably my third favourite Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it's up there for me as well. I've rewatched it a few times. And now, look, The Mandalorian is fantastic. I know we'll talk about that in future episodes. But that was just... that when you've watched that, it's just fantastic, lads. That should really change your mind and see what direction they're heading in. They need to get him...
but it's people pushing their weight around again, I think.
No, I don't agree with that. I think
Disney are trying to be... They're, I don't know. I mean, they're obviously we're going to get... Once all those contracts end with Sky...
Yeah.
We're going to lose... Well, kids are going to lose a lot of Disney stuff. They're going to have to subscribe to Disney Plus instead.
But I'm not sure whether or not Sky will end up just streaming the Disney Plus.
I think they'll stream it as well. I think they'll add it to the same as they did with Netflix. They'll add it somehow.
But it'll be at a big cost, though, I should imagine.
Oh, yeah, but there's a massive catalogue there, so people will pay it.
I'm just looking at the Rotten Tomatoes scores on the Rise of Skywalker.
It's awful. It's 50-something%.
The tomatometer is 52%,
the lowest.
But the audience score is 86.
Yeah, but that's people.
If you look at that movie as a science fiction movie and forget everything else, you can probably give it 8 out of 10. And a lot of people loved it. There's a lot of sci-fi bashing. There's a lot of CGI, whatever's going on. So as a standalone crash bang wallop film, you could give it 8 out of 10. But if you break it down to what it comes to, you're looking at a 2 to 4 out of 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not saying...
But you look at the audience score for The Last Jedi, 43% for the audience score, but 91% on a tomatometer.
But Steve, I had fun, if this makes sense. I had fun watching the movie because it was just... It's like I watched Underground or 6 Underground here now on Netflix. That movie is absolutely crazy. He spent $150 million and he just made his dream movie that makes no sense. But it's just action, start to finish. And because it was a standalone movie, I actually said, wow, that was a great movie. After watching it, I thought, I'd watch it again. I really enjoyed it. The Star Wars for me was the same. I actually had fun watching it, if that makes sense. But I was so disappointed afterwards. And as the days went on after watching it, I just got more disappointed in the movie.
Yeah, well, I think I got through it because I was drinking beer at the time in the cinema.
No, not wine, no.
No, it was beer, it was lager, so it was actually probably a soothing sedative.
I think the best way to describe these are this movie is a bit like a McDonald's.
Yeah.
In the fact that it's quite tasty while you're eating it, but 10 minutes later you want another one.
Well, I think leave the Star Wars movies rest for a while now, 4 or 5 years, and then do a new trilogy, new canon.
They're not doing trilogies anymore, though. They're going to go down the Avengers sort of line.
Oh, are they?
And they're going to go back 400 years as well.
Yes, I've seen that. Look, just new characters, get Skywalker's finished, get rid of all that now, and
it needs to be out of there. I think that the mistake that they made with these movies was right from the start. They should not have had any of the original casting. It should have been completely new characters.
It was I agree with you. Anyway, we could talk for hours. I think we have to.
Yeah. So, Steve, shall we go on to Revenge?
Yeah. So, a breath of fresh air for me. Revenge came out in 2017. It's directed by a woman director named Caroline Fargate. She's French, and the movie's French. Now, this is starring Matilda and Ingrid Lutz. She plays Jen, who's a mistress on a break with her boyfriend, and he's invited his mates on a hunting trip at the same weekend. And I won't say too much, but she gets left in an awkward position. She's raped, and the second half of the movie then turns it on its head, and it's one of the best movies I've seen ever.
Yeah, I watched it as well.
It has a touch of Rambo without saying what the scene is, but honestly, this movie I watched twice in a week. I picked up the Mondo soundtrack actually because that had been out for a while. 500 pressings only available. Sounds amazing, and I think she's in Rings as well. That's why I want to see Rings. But the direction of this film, the way they filmed it, everything about it is freaking amazing, and you should go and watch it. And you got no problem to do that because you can go onto Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's a lot of on-demand stuff. And
if you go to Shudder streaming service on Amazon Prime, you can have a 7-day trial for free, so you can sit and watch that film for 7 days, and it'll be worth every penny of it.
I could just go to the Shudder website and you can get the same.
Or do it there. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's
so, Alan?
So there's actually an Asian version as well of this movie, Revenge, as well. It's actually the same name. And I'll send you a link for a trailer.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
And the Asian one is fantastic as well.
Yeah, the director actually wrote this as well.
Yeah.
And I was listening to her on a podcast last week. I would recommend the Evolution of Horror podcast if you like horror.
Yeah. And
they've got some good stuff in there, and they had a little quick chat with her. And it's just an amazing movie. It's brilliant. And obviously with Revenge, you can guess maybe how this is going to go, but oh God! Some of the scenes in this film, it's just amazing. It really is. I can't stress enough how much I enjoyed this. I mean, even the missus watched it, and she's not one for subtitles. Even though that Jen does speak English in it because she talks English to her boyfriend, but other than that, it's just pure subtitles. But that doesn't take away from anything of the film at all, for me.
Yeah, highly recommend myself. I watched it twice as well, so it's a great show.
Yeah, and
just out of more curiosity. When she taught us English, did it have French subtitles for the French viewers?
No, it's just in English.
It's just English, yeah.
Yeah, but it's only for a few scenes.
It's not much English in it, no.
But we watched Us and this on the same night, and Us in comparison
Us is fantastic.
No, I was disappointed.
I loved Us. I
was disappointed in it.
Good.
I mean, I liked the first half of the film.
Yeah.
And the way it was going, and it was all creepy, but then at the end of it, I just was disappointed. It really let me down.
I enjoyed Us now.
Maybe I should watch it a second time. I don't know. Maybe I should watch it a second time.
Yeah. It's definitely 2 or 3. There's so much going on in that movie. Well, it's kind of connected to what's happening in America, and it's very good.
And obviously, with the actors playing themselves twice,
it's a bit
very clever, a bit creepy, and but definitely go and watch Revenge. I love Shudder as a subscription service. I watch a lot of movies on there, and really, really, really good service for what you get.
I might watch it again tonight after listening to you.
Yeah, it's just so good. Obviously, we'll talk about Witcher in a minute on Netflix, and I also talking about Amazon Prime in a few days' time. I did watch Graham Norton last night,
right?
And he had Patrick Stewart on there chatting about Star Trek. Yeah, cannot wait for that.
Yeah, most anticipated.
We will be talking about that next week.
Yeah. So that was good. And one other thing I did watch over Christmas, and none of you mentioned it, and I'm not sure if you're a fan or not, but Gavin and Stacey actually made my Christmas.
My wife watched it.
Yeah, I watched that.
No, I didn't. I'm not a fan.
No, but it actually, for a show to be 10 years old and to bring back the characters and to do it, they did it spot on. And and hands down for Corden and that for doing that. It was really, really well worth watching.
Yeah,
because there wasn't a lot of stuff on Christmas, to be honest, to really... we did a lot of board games and having fun over Christmas, but TV-wise, it wasn't a lot anyway.
It's funny, actually, because I was a bit concerned about watching it because James Corden, he makes my skin crawl
I
nowadays.
can't stand him either.
And,
I don't know why. I mean, that's a personal thing to you, obviously, but...
it's because it's... To be honest, the reason why is because he hasn't actually changed, to be fair. He is the same sort of character as he was before we got to be uber famous and successful. But the point is he's the same sort of character.
Yeah.
And so now he just feels like a really obnoxious idiot.
No,
And I just can't. Hey, I'm just saying my personal view. I just find him to be really obnoxious now. But because he was playing Smithy again, and that's sort of like where Smithy is, I was all right with it.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, because that's sort of like where he originated from, his sort of like character. Well, apart from the fact that he was also in Little Britain as well, because he was David's brother.
Yeah. But actually, I mean, of the other characters that came back in for this show, they did very well. They all come back as if they were 10 years older, or so many years older, and it sort of worked. Yeah. And obviously, the way it ended. If people haven't seen it, I'm not going to mention the ending, but people are now crying out for a new series, and I hope they do. I think if they can... Of course they're going to. The way that they left that, they're not going to not do that. They've done that in a very, very simply to get people's appetite up for a new show, which I am quite sure is actually confirmed. Well, I mean, it's time and space of getting things for people, because a lot of these actors and actresses are still doing other things.
But let's be honest, why bring them back 10 years later for a Christmas special if you're not going to relaunch the show?
Well, I mean, they thought they could do it. They had a chat. They were having a chat in Los Angeles apparently, and started writing and thinking, well, do you know what? This could probably work as long as we can get everyone back in to do the show, because you can't have one character missing.
No.
Obviously, the old lady, she passed away, so they gave their respect to her at the end of the show.
Yeah, that was a touch in.
I thought so. Better. And it was good. I did enjoy that, and I do sometimes occasionally rewatch the seasons because they're very short anyway. But I did watch another film last night on Netflix, a bit weird, called Eli. And this is about a boy that can't breathe in the air as we do. He's in a bubble, and he's taken to a hospital to try to be trying to sort him out so he can with some operations. And this lady, there's three women at this sort of house that do the operation. She's very creepy anyway, because she's been in the Conjuring movies and stuff like that. So I did recognise her. But the twist at the end was very different. Bit jumpy, scary sort of movie, but it was on Netflix, so it was cheap and something else to watch. But yeah, so it's all those to watch at the minute. It's too much time. Anyway, Alan, do you want to jump in with your stuff?
I will. I'll go quickly here, lads, because we've already spoken about Lost in Space. The Witcher Season 1. I watched that now on Netflix twice. Second time with my wife, and she doesn't like this kind of stuff, and she really enjoyed it. I've listened to, and I've read 2 books, and I've listened to the rest of them, the 6 books on audio, and the books are fantastic. Like the Game of Thrones books, they go into so much detail and so much character development. It's way more interesting.
I couldn't get into Game of Thrones for love and money, but this I adore. I really got into this. It's
based on... It's actually not based on the novels to say the story. It's based on the short stories of The Last Wish and Sword of Destiny, which he brought out after the first and second novel. So it's quite interesting because, not too much spoilers, when you're watching it, there's stuff going on that you don't kind of discover. You kind of figure out in the third episode I found, listening to names and things they were saying. Like, I try not to spoil it because I don't want to spoil it.
Even the way Yennefer was, do you know what I mean? And what a gorgeous woman she is. Yes. Amazing.
Great. They're great. I thought the cast were perfect. I actually thought he was perfect as Geralt. I was a bit dubious, but the voice is actually very good, close to the game. His look, I thought he grew into it as the episodes went on, and they brought in a lot of the stuff from the book that, like, the powers, the Force push, I suppose you'd call it, from the Star Wars movies, as you go back, and different, like, taking different potions to make himself stronger and stuff like that. I thought they added that nicely.
Because of your love for Superman, do you think that you felt that was going to be a difficult bridge to go over or not?
No, because I actually found him more believable as Geralt than as Clark Kent, to be honest with you. I think he really... If you play The Witcher 3 or the other Witchers, and when I went back to The Witcher 3, I actually, because it drew me back in, it was funny because the names and the towns and the characters actually felt more comfortable because I'd watched the show twice. and I actually enjoying the game way more now, and I actually playing the game differently because of it.
There is actually a rumour that Mark Hamill is going to be in season 2.
He's coming back as he's as the character from no spoilers from the game, like that trains him when he's a trainee Witcher. I think actually he'd be perfect as him, you know.
As a Witcher master.
No, the first 2 or 3 episodes, I'm sure, Steve, I know that you find it. I found it. I can see why people who watch the first 2 episodes kind of go, "God, no, I'm not enjoying this," and don't go back to it. But when you get to a certain episode where the two, it's hard to explain, 2 characters kind of connect in a moment. One person looks one direction, and then later on you see it from a different angle. And it just brings it all together in that moment like a bang. I thought was fantastic, and I thought, wow, I enjoyed that.
I have to admit, I struggled with this,
right?
And I got to halfway through the second episode and just sort of drifted away from it.
No, I think if you go back and stick with it and just listen to what they're saying and look at the world around them, and then when you see what. I try to spoil it. It's hard to talk about, not spoil it, because I think I don't want to spoil it for people. And then the final battle is very good. No, it doesn't have the money that they spent on Game of Thrones. It doesn't have the big gravitas.
It doesn't need it, does it?
No, I don't think it does, because the characters are stronger. I thought it was better characters in this than the Game of Thrones TV shows towards the end, you know?
I mean, how Yennefer, how she became the way she did, and what she was dealing with where she was staying, should we say, and that was great. I loved that, and it's very clever. And
they brought in characters from the short stories that actually appeared in The Witcher 3, which is much farther ahead, because The Witcher 3 is all about Geralt trying to find Yennefer, and it's like 10 or 20 years later again from what's happening in the current series, you know, and also how he's connected to the girl. For me, very good. Can't wait for season 2, which they've started filming already. So get over the first 2 episodes and stick with it, guys. It's well worth it.
If you follow on Twitter, he always likes good chat, doesn't he? So
he's a beast. He's some size of a man. He does some workouts.
And evidently he's not finished as Superman either.
Well, no, he's mad pushing the what you call it, the Zack cut, which everybody says he's seen the from Batman versus Superman. And from the Justice League, they have different cuts.
I would like to see some more of that, actually, if they do bring it out, because it's not just some people, again, this is like the Star Wars situation, people really rape the films a bit.
Yeah.
And I did see...
I enjoyed them. They weren't great, but
what did I see recently? Because I didn't get to see it at the cinema, I didn't see it on Blu-ray, but I watched it on Sky over the last few weeks. But I did get to see Aquaman, and I thoroughly enjoyed that film.
Oh, that was okay.
That was the best one out of them, I think.
It's that and Wonder Woman, and now the Joker as well.
Oh, yeah, Wonder Woman.
The Joker. No, I will say the trailer for the new Wonder Woman, I'm not impressed with it. I don't know. There's just something, two trailers I've watched now so far of it hasn't caught my grasp.
Well, I mean, it's set in the 1980s as well, so it's because obviously
it just looks cheesy for some reason.
Well, it's the 80s, isn't it?
I know it's a comic movie, and it's going to have those moments like the old 1969 Batman, which is like pow pop style. There's just something about it. I'm not 100% certain. It might be brilliant. I could be wrong 100%. So anyway, the next one I got on to is Watchmen season 1, which for me is the best TV show of the last few years. It just was fantastic, the way the writing, the story, the way they brought everything together in the very last 2 episodes, because the first couple of episodes, again like The Witcher, but I think even more so, there was stuff happening in the first few episodes of Watchmen with characters that you're like, what the hell's going on here? And then they start connecting it slowly, ever so slowly, to the movie. And they just started connecting the pieces together like a puzzle, like a jigsaw. And in the very last 2 episodes, when they brought it all together and connected it, it was just, I thought it was so well done, so well written. The characters are so well done. Like Lindelof, who did Lost, obviously, and got a lot of crap from doing Lost towards the end. He did The Leftovers. I don't know if you've seen The Leftovers, any of you? No?
Don't think I have, no.
that is a show that is just up there for me as one of the greatest shows ever made. It's 3 seasons, and it's about the way that show is done and filmed, and in the very last episode is just one monologue person putting the whole seasons together. If you haven't watched it, it's a must watch for anybody. It's absolutely fantastic. And the other thing I thought quite interesting was they brought the story based on a real life event that happened in 1921. If you've watched the first episode of The Watchmen, it's the Toulouse race massacre. I actually went back and read up on it because I couldn't believe it was actually based on a true story. And they actually recreated the town, certain incidents that happened with planes, shooting people. And it's hard to believe that happened back then. And they brought it into the movie. And again, what's happening in the world at the moment, which is brought, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world with racism and what's going. I thought it very interesting. So for me, a brilliant must-watch show. It was fantastic. I think it was 8 episodes, 9 episodes.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it as a series.
Then quickly, as I've spoke to you boys below, I have a little notepad that I tick off TV shows that I want to get done while I'm running and stuff. So I finished Killing Eve season 2, absolutely brilliant. Mr. Mercedes season. Oh, sorry, Steve. You want to?
No, just Killing Eve, something we both watched at home together.
It's brilliant,
and there is going to be a 3rd season apparently,
and a 4th.
Yeah,
and I actually went back and read that there's 4 books or 5 books there. I didn't read. I listened.
I think I had a pull because of the woman that was playing the character where she was joining the force.
Yeah,
she was in Grey's Anatomy.
Yes,
so I think she had such a pull from them. I think that's what helped her. A lot of fans from that came over to this.
Well, the main actress that plays Eve as well, she's from Liverpool. If you hear her talking normally, she's got the strongest Liverpool accent you've ever heard. But the voices she does is just incredible. Like.
Yeah. I think her character is so twisted.
Yeah.
And she plays it off perfectly. It's, really,
and it was a great finale as well. It was a great cliffhanger as well.
Yes, it was, yeah.
So then I finished. This one is very Marmite for people. I think Mr. Mercedes season 3, I loved it, and they finished it. They tied everything together. I don't think there's going to be season 4, but they finished it so well. And of course, it's an Irish actor, Gleeson, who's playing the main character. And he's so Irish. He talks, the stories he tells in it. I think there's a lot of ad-libbing goes on in that show because he tells stories in that if you're Irish, you understand completely. It's brilliant, about families. And so that was a great episode or season. I loved it. I binge watched 3 seasons. Then I've watched the first couple of episodes, the new episodes of Doctor Who.
I'm behind at the moment because
so I won't say much. For me, it's disappointing. It's the worst season so far. But
to be honest,
what did you think of the Master?
Yeah, completely over. Sorry. Sorry.
It's all right. No.
Well, for me, overacted. Didn't make any sense. It just didn't suit.
Yeah.
And they've changed the Doctor Who universe now. If you watch the new episode, the 3rd one. Is it the 3rd one? Yeah, the 3rd one. And they've completely rewrote history a tiny bit. And they're going, and I didn't like it. So, and I just started watching The Outsiders on Sky, which was brilliant. The new Stephen King one. I've read the book. I listened to the book. I don't know if you call it listening reading. But I've listened to the audiobook and it's fantastic so far. It's very much like a True Detective style. If you've watched the very first season of True Detectives, that kind of feel, that kind of cinematography, dark, feel dingy, kind of like Seven style, that kind of serial killer style of filming. So the first 3 episodes were fantastic. My wife loves it. She's glued to it. My movie is, I know we're only the 19th of January already, but it's already my movie of the year so far. As I joke to you boys.
I've been meaning, I'd love to go and see this at some point if I get a chance.
Well, this is from one of the greatest directors ever who directed probably Stephen's or Hayden's worst movie ever, Jedi, The Last Jedi. But he's actually made some of the best movies I've ever seen, Rian Johnson. So he's done Looper, Brick, Brothers Bloom. If you've never seen Brick or Brothers Bloom, these movies are up there with Quentin Tarantino for dialogue, lads. They're absolutely unbelievable. Some of the dialogue and the conversation and the monologues in those movies are just heart-stopping. And The Brothers Bloom is an old style. Have you ever seen the movie Sting? With you probably have the old, with Robert Redford.
Yeah, God, many times I've seen that.
It's a con movie with two brothers done in that kind of style, and it's got a twists in it are just out of this world. So if moving on then to Knives Out, he wrote this movie like 20 years ago when he was a lot younger, Knives Out, and it's a classic whoddunit mystery, the old style Poirot.
Is it like, well, not really like the Mickey take of Clue?
No, it's not a Mickey take. It's actually it's very much like Inspector Clouseau's Sherlock Holmes. It actually references, and it's done very serious. It's got like Daniel Craig in one of his best movie roles ever, playing, I'll have to get this right, Mr. Bono Blanc is his name, a real Kentucky accent, like deep drawl. And he absolutely steals the show so much that they're actually doing another movie because of it with the same character. And what I enjoyed about it, it's a classic whodunit movie, real old school, where you have a mystery and it pulls you in one direction 1 minute and then it pulls you another direction another minute, and then it's throwing all these hints in or little scenes to throw you off what's happening.
Yeah.
And it does, like, it goes back in where someone's walking out a door and then there's someone in a room next to him listening to what's happening. And then you go into the room of the person walking out the door and you're seeing it from different angles. But what I really liked about the movie was that it's a movie where being a good person or being doing the right thing pays off, and that's not too much of a spoiler. You don't get that in movies anymore. It's a movie where, like, being evil, you don't win at the end of the day, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It just can't, and it's absolute, and at the end of it, it's like 25 minutes. Again, I love monologues. I love people where it's in one room and they're talking. And it's just like there's 25 minutes at the end where he tells the whole story of what actually happened. And it's just it's fantastic. It's up there as one of the best movies I've seen this year. I know it's early. It would have been my movie of last year if I'd watched it, truthfully.
Yeah.
Because it kind of came out last year in America. It's killing in the box office. It's like, it only costs like 30 million is a lot, but in this day and age it's not,
already, isn't it? I just imagine.
But it's made over 250 million worldwide at the moment. It's huge. I'd highly recommend go watch it. It's fantastic. The cast is just jaw-dropping that's in it. I like watching foreign movies, so quickly I'll just say I watched my favourite foreign movie of the last few months has been Parasite. It's from the director of I'm going to make Bong Joon-ho or something.
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's directed some of the greatest. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Snowpiercer, or The Host, or Mother. They're all on Netflix.
The Host is really good. I was listening to a podcast just the other day. I think it was the Arrow. Was it the Arrow podcast?
Yeah.
It was the Arrow podcast. And they said, actually, Parasite is coming out this year for a good run on the cinema. So
yes,
I'm hoping that I can pick it up, see it then. It was only very short, sort of...
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking this is like a zombie sort of movie?
No, it's not.
No.
It's
far
not.
from it.
Oh my God. It's about class culture in Korea and how a family at the very, very bottom, they live in a basement to effect where the basement gets flooded some days from the rain, and they actually stand in the floodwater up to their chest eating their dinner. And then how they infiltrate their way into this high until it's a wealthy family. But then this wealthy family have these dark, dark secrets that are just... And how they're both clashing with each other. Again, I can't give spoilers away, but the movie has done so well, they're actually making a TV series out of it, confirmed last week. Because he actually he said that he couldn't fit everything into the movie that he wanted to do. It's a must-watch. If you get a chance to watch it, if you've seen Oki, if you've seen... Like, Snowpiercer is batshit crazy, and that's a TV show coming as well to Netflix this next couple of weeks. But there's a movie called Snowpiercer with the guy who was Captain America, Chris. It's just brilliant. Chris Evans. Memories of a Murderer is just... It's about two men who have amnesia. One of them, and there's a murder after happening, and the both of them have amnesia. One of them did the murder, and they both think the other person did it, and they don't know who's the actual murderer. And the whole movie's about that, them trying to come to put the pieces together. If you've seen Memento or something, he's a brilliant director. It's a must-watch, lads. And that's what I've watched. I hope it's some interesting stuff
I have to admit, I was thinking of, I have it stuck in my head about some, I think it's Korean movie where it's sort of like zombies on a train.
Yeah, that's I've watched it. It's very good. It's Last Stop or something. Last Train to Tuscany or something like that.
Is that the one where you see the escalator and they'll come out the bottom of the escalator running like a bunch of madmen?
Yeah, it's very good as well. I watch a lot of foreign movies. I love foreign movies. I watch one or two a week, and I'll recommend one a week if I can on here to you lads that I've watched. You know, so
well, I picked up a box set from the Criterion Collection.
Okay. And
it's the Lone Wolf Club.
Oh, yeah.
And what it has got, because I've mentioned to Hayden, I'm a big fan of I nearly said Assassin's Creed, actually. I'm a big fan of Shogun Assassin. So
I've watched it. I watched that last year again, the whole series.
So I'd seen the American version of that, which is what I got to see on VHS back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s.
And I didn't know age. Yeah, I know. And I didn't know about that actually come from the first two movies of that box set.
Yeah.
So I picked the box set up. I've got all 6 of them to watch.
Oh, they're absolutely fantastic.
So I can't wait to dive into them at some point.
I'd watch foreign movies all day with subtitles. I love it.
Yeah, I'm getting messed into it. After she saw me watching The Ring the other day.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to watch Ring 2 again now, because I haven't watched that one for donkeys.
Look, if you get a chance, go even watch the trailer of Parasite. It's well worth it. And check out these other stuff. There's a lot of it available on Netflix at the moment.
Yeah.
The Host now, especially in Snowpiercer, are definitely a must-watch. They're very good. So that's everything I've watched and played and done, lads. So I hope it was slightly interesting to you.
No, fine. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's great. Right, okay, let's go on to listener questions. Alright, so, listener questions, and as always, we've got Mark's questions first. So, what's the most important feature to you in a 2020 new gen consoles?
I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think nothing major, because they're not going to innovate too much. I think it's mainly graphics. I like the idea of the SSD hard drives. Maybe that.
I agree on that, yeah.
I actually think it's more of what's happening with the Game Pass and what PlayStation do with PS Now, and I think that's more fascinating for me, what happens that side of it, you know?
Yeah, there's not, I mean, I suppose if we tag this onto Ryo's question as well, it's very difficult at the moment to think about even purchasing the Series X. More than likely we will do.
Yeah, I've booked it already, so I'm paying it off. So
yeah, so it's like, you know, what benefits are we going to get? There isn't a lot of benefits. We're going to get the speed times are going to be quicker, obviously, with the ray tracing and drive and everything that's going to go with that. And I think we're going to see a lot more from that point of view. Graphically,
I think the PS5 will have a better launch. I think they will have a better exclusive launch. So that'll be interesting.
Well, of course will, because Xbox aren't doing any exclusives.
That's true, I suppose. So that's true.
Yeah.
Well, we have Halo Infinite, and hopefully, we might get one or two more.
Yeah, but that's going to be on PC as well, isn't it? So it's not going to be exclusive.
It's a strange structure they've done.
Yeah, it is. But we'll see. I mean, we might see a bit of a change with that come closer to E3 and what we're going to see, and we might all just have that.
Yeah.
We might all be swept away with the euphoria of these new consoles anyway. Yeah. But
I think for me the most important things are going to be the ray tracing, because that does make a difference. But also, I think it's going to be the 60 FPS at 4K.
Yeah.
Because if you're not used to frames per second or whatever, then you won't get it until you see it. It's a bit like VR.
Yeah.
until you've seen it, you don't get it. Once you've seen it, you get it.
We're going to get a new Forza for this, I'm sure.
Yes.
I'd put money on it. And if anything, that will showcase that console maybe. At 60 frames and the cars going around the track.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what Xbox should do, if they're really, really smart, is to release the Xbox game, and whichever console you put it in, whether it's the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, or the Xbox Series X, it will play to that system.
I think that's what they're going for. I think it's, like you go into the settings in a PC and change from ultra to high to medium. I think that's what they're aiming for. Any game you put in the future, it'll do it in the background. It'll do those settings automatically to suit what console you have, which is an interesting take, I suppose. I
suppose there's another thing as well to think of. Have we actually got the size of the hard drive yet? We know
1 terabyte is the rumours. The PS4 is 2 apparently.
PS5.
Sorry.
This is the thing. I think they should both, because of the size of the games now, and even the latest Call of Duty is ridiculously large. I think 1 terabyte is too small. I think 2 should be a norm for both consoles.
But the problem is the cost of a 2 terabyte
crazy.
SSD.
But what'll happen then?
Microsoft can swallow that, though, to be honest.
But what if you put in how at the moment how you've got a hard drive into your Xbox, right, for your extra games? So then you're losing your load times if you put an ordinary hard drive into your Xbox on the new one. It's not unless you buy an SSD hard, which are a crazy price. So the games are going to load slower from that Xbox or that hard drive. So it's just, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But apparently, the PS5 is 2 terabyte. I haven't. That's just what I've seen from sites and stuff.
Because I think what I've ended up doing is, even though I've got something like about 3 or 4 terabyte from the Xbox, I might have to just take those away completely. And just use the console.
Yeah, because you won't get the faster load times from the normal.
Exactly.
Yeah, see, so that negates
just have a bit of a cull on what you've got on your hard drive.
You can download this thing.
Exactly.
I do. I download lots of stuff and delete them.
The problem is that when you're talking about games that are like 90, 100 megs at least, it's going to fill up fast. You're only going to be able to have 7 or 8 games on the system at the most, and also, if you take it off, you're going to be then waiting around probably a day for it to download again.
Some of the bigger ones you'd want to keep on there, but the smaller games from Game Pass that you can just re-download those. But where you have games that are, the games are actually going to be progressing in time with the console, the same way that Destiny 2 does. And, the updates go on every 6 months with small updates as well. So those files will get bigger and bigger and bigger. But you'd want to...
But that's what you would do if you plugged in a USB 2 or 3 drive into the new console. If it allows you to do that, then all of the Xbox One content you'd stick on the external drive. And you
can play around with what. I think. I think because at the moment I think Destiny 2 I've got on a dedicated hard drive separately at the moment because
that's hardcore.
That's because it's continually evolving in a size as well. So Destiny 2 would probably go straight onto the hard drive. Yeah, because then Destiny 3 could be coming out in a year's time, couldn't it? So,
I'm excited for that.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
Anyway, question 2. So, what was the last game that you did that didn't get on purely because of the controls?
Well, that's easy for me. Any game I played with the PS4 controller.
Why?
I don't.
So every PlayStation game.
Yeah, I purposely bought an off-axis PlayStation controller. I don't like the controller with the joysticks together. That style. I just don't like that controller. So I couldn't play a game, but that's just me personally.
I think, to be honest, when I actually purchased the PlayStation a bit later, obviously, and started playing some of these exclusive games, I think I adapted pretty well. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's funny how I can now adapt with one controller in here with the PlayStation and play Destiny, and then dig out an Xbox controller and just carry on playing without thinking. It doesn't.
I think if you hop between them
Yeah,
quite often, you
maybe.
get used to it
I
quite
don't hop
easily.
that often. You see, I just like the offset thumbsticks. It just suits for some reason. Suits me.
I mean, I've got to go back to some. I really need to go back to Spider-Man, for example. And stuff like
great
that,
game,
but,
finish it.
You know, it's again,
Great game.
It's like.
Yeah, I got the platinum on that one.
I'm not far off the platinum. I just didn't want to go back and do. There's a couple of those gang missions, or you had to go back.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a grind. That's a grind.
And then actually, after pre-ordering the soundtrack to Tomb Raider, the Shadow Tomb Raider.
Great game. I finished it all. I loved them.
I went back to it. And do you know what? I realised I hadn't finished it. I had a little quick go this evening while Mrs. was cooking dinner, and I've got a long way to go with that game. By the way,
that game is huge.
And I adored the last one and finished that and did all the DLC. So and also I've just noticed on the store they've got like another 10 tombs that you can purchase.
Yeah. It's a massive, and the RPG elements they brought into. It didn't get received well. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
So definitely want to go back. I'd say absolutely. Anyway, sorry, I do digress as usual.
All right, so Ryu FP, do you think that the Series X having no exclusive games specifically for the new Series X console for a year as a positive or a negative?
Negative to a certain degree, but the hardcore will purchase it without a blink of an eye.
I think Halo will help us. I think Game Pass will help us. But I definitely think it's more of a negative than a positive. Yeah.
I must admit, I've been thinking about this, and I'm not really sure that it matters that much.
But if you look at this, sorry.
Because the way that I'm thinking of it is, if you're because it's going to be offered on PC, it's not going to be offered on PlayStation, obviously. So if you've got a PC, you're less likely to upgrade, at least initially, to an Xbox One X anyway, Series X. Whereas if you're a console player, you're less likely, probably, if that's what your main thing is, to have a PC that's going to be able to run these games at, anywhere near what the Xbox One or Xbox Series X is going to be able to do. So you're going to upgrade. So I'm not really sure that it's a move that matters that much.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. See how it all plays out.
Okay. Lee Doherty, welcome back, fellas. Final Fantasy VII Remake question. This is what we were talking about before. Do you think that the rumour that it's going to come out in chapters parts is true, and do you think this is a good or bad thing?
Well,
it depends on the size of the game, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, it does.
That's the biggie about it, because if this was going to be it was 2 disc, 3 disc on the original. Obviously, the disc size has changed, but where are we going to have? We're having that whole story, but they're actually it's a bigger world again, and they thought it's due to bringing it out, and they're going to have to bring it out. If we bring it out in chapters, we're going to be drip fed this. Where
it's going to be a long way between chapters. They've only started chapter 2 now, apparently.
Exactly, but by the time we probably all played this, we might have more of a direction of where it's going to go for future. But it's hard to say. One side of me says, "Do you know what? Why can't we have the whole thing?" But
it's going to be expensive. If you think of €50 or whatever for you,
and also to build it as well, as what they've got to do. They've got to build this game up, and it's going to be so big that they think, well, let's just bring it out on 3 discs in a year or whatever, year and a half. I don't know, 6 months in between each.
Yeah.
Because they're already working on that, and then by the time that second part comes out, if there's a third part, then that will obviously.
Well, apparently there's 5 parts. The room, from what I've read.
I mean, I could be dead by the time the 5th part comes out.
They're saying up to 5 parts from the usual rumor mills, and they've only started chapter 2. I think it'll it's an interesting way of doing the game, but it's going to.
Well, it'll span multiple generations.
It's going to sell buckets in the first one, so it'll be interesting.
I'm going to look at this in a slightly different way, because I'm thinking of Hitman 1 and 2, which were released episodic. Now, to me, I think that it's a question of 2 things in terms of whether or not the episodic will work or not. I think the first question is, how big is an episode? Because if you get an episode that you can complete in, say, 4 or 5 hours, which is Final Fantasy, so let's face it, it's going to be about 450 years.
Yeah, they're saying 40, 50 hours for each one.
Yeah. So if that's fine. So if they're going to be releasing them every 3 months, maybe 6 months at the most, that's acceptable. Yeah. But I think if you get into a situation where you've got your 40 hours, you complete it in 2 months, and then you have to wait a year for part 2, I think it'll kill it dead.
I think it's going to be years between parts. I think it's going to be.
I don't think it's going to work if it's going to be like that. I think the ones that have done it well when it's been episodic have been the Hitman series, because you've got a couple of levels with lots of ways of attacking it, and then the next month or the month after, you got the next episode, and that went on for months. So what you're going to do,
you're going to have a lull between discs that they bring out, and that could harm its sales to a certain degree. If people don't get on with the game, as well as, depending on how the mechanics of the game works.
Well, the next one's going to be on the next generation, so it'll be like pretty much come out for the PS5.
Yeah, but what I mean is how the game plays.
Yeah.
As Final Fantasy games go, do you know
I'm going to hold back. I'm not. It's not a day one for me. I'm not. I played the original and I finished it. So
I think there's another thing as well that's really essential for this, is that they have a schedule that they keep to, because I'm thinking about the Telltale and the abysmal way that they released games, or released the chapters, in their games, where was it Tales from the Borderlands? I think that there was about 6 or 7 months between 2 chapters of that game. That was ridiculous. It completely ruined the playing of the experience of the game because you'd forgotten what had happened. Whereas they've got to set the schedule for when they're going to release, and you should be aware of that. Unless, of course, it's just a Final Fantasy VII universe. This is what was the original game in Chapter 1, and Chapter 2 is new content. Which it doesn't matter, because that's like Final Fantasy VII Part 2, a bit like Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. Do you know what I mean? So it depends upon how that chaptering system's going to work as well.
Yeah, again, it's not an interesting one. We'll see how it plays out.
We will. Anyway, Jason 2, what's been your movie and game of the decade?
I'll go quickly. Mass Effect 2 was my game of the decade. Loved it, finished it numerous occasions. And my movie is Mad Max Fury Road from 2015. I've watched this. I even loved the Chrome version. They did it in black and white. Great movie.
It is a great movie, but in terms of story, it's let's go over there. Oh, there's nothing here, let's go back.
Just
you know how Hayden tackles these movies.
I know.
He's very awkward.
The fact he came back and did those action sequences with the cars and the look of it and the characters, and for me, it was one of my top. It's my favorite movie. I could watch it numerous times. So
don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, but in terms of story, it was lacking. I thought,
like Star Wars.
Yeah, a bit. But it had actually less story than the Last Jedi.
Better.
Yes, somehow. Steve, what's yours?
Very, very difficult. I mean, after seeing Revenge the other day,
that's still fresh in your mind, us.
It is, and I would say that's close to being one of. Putting that aside, I think Blade Runner 2049 sticks in my head very much.
Great movie.
I mean, there is a lot of films out there, believe it or not, that we could choose, and I could go very mainstream with this, but I think I would probably put Blade Runner in front of them all.
Yeah, good choice.
What about you, Hayden?
What, 2049? 49. Yeah. What about your game?
Destiny, maybe.
No, actually, no.
Wow.
I think Destiny 2.
I haven't got a lot left for the Bioshock world.
Oh, yeah, great games.
And
that first one is brilliant.
It is, and I can play them any day of the week. Those games, I've got them on both consoles as sitting there. So just to play for 10 minutes doesn't matter.
Yeah, Stories are fantastic.
It's a fantastic world. It looked, the water, for the time when Bioshock came out, the water graphics were amazing for that.
Yeah.
And even...
Can I just say, though, you can't say Bioshock because that was 2007.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yes. What about Bioshock 3?
That would have been...
You mean Bioshock Infinite? Yeah. You could say Bioshock 2. That was 9th of February 2010.
2 and 3 then. It's the trilogy came out the other year, didn't they? So
yeah.
So it came out as a trilogy this, in this decade. So I would say that really. I mean, Mass Effect 2 is a good shout, and probably my favourite of the three. We don't talk about Andromeda too much these days.
No.
It's a bit of a letdown. And but yeah, no.
Yeah, good choices.
Yeah. Go on, Hayden. Come on, give us yours.
I'm going to say Mass Effect 2
good choice, great
as
choice.
well. I completely agree, but with a very narrow second would have been Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, but that came out... Was the original one or the new one?
No, the new one.
I played the original on... I think it was the Amstrad.
That came out in 1984.
Yeah, I played at the Amstrad.
Yeah. I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, I've got a lot of love for Persona 5 as well, and that's a great shout out, even to come on par with as games have gone, and even some of the PlayStation exclusives I've played in the last couple of years. The Last of Us and that they're all very, very good games, very good narrative games.
Yeah,
and
And what's your movie?
My movie is Joker.
The new one. Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Really. That's my. I said it the last. I think I'd just seen it the last time we recorded. Joker to me, it was the movie of the decade because it was. It took the graphic novel, sort of like the comic. Character and put him in sort of like a much more real world, made him believable and made it more like it wasn't a superhero or super villain movie. It was a very real movie with real motivations. It had real character development and a real journey for the Joker to actually get there. And so I think that Joaquin Phoenix was really good in it as well. I don't think he was as good as Heath Ledger's Joker, but he came a close second to me. And I just thought it was a fantastic movie that explored mental illness very well. So, that's mine. All right, Paul Wilson, did you play any of the single-player adventure books in the fighting fantasy series such as Warlock of the Firetop Mountain by Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone?
I didn't.
No, I played some of the adventure books where you pick your page or pick your quest storyline. The old school adventure books, but never those ones, no. Sound interesting, actually. I should Google them.
Yeah. I can't remember whether or not I played those or not, but I did do them. He said, as you may know, the first book was released in 1982. Those books and handheld electronic games for me were the perfect segue into home computing. Spent many a happy hour flicking through those wonderful books.
I did actually the actual physical books with dice, role-playing games. I did do some of those.
And the Black Mirror movie as well that was on recently kind of had an interesting take on it. That kind of stuff. So, but no, never. Sorry, Paul, never played them. But I'll Google them and just look them up. Just be interesting to have a look at them to see what they were. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And the last question is from Alan Cochran. Do you listen to other people's podcasts and which are your favourites?
I'll go here first. Yeah, I've got most of mine are running one, lads, so they're not that. They're all kind of adventure podcasts. I listen to the Mature Gamers, Fat Man and Beyond. Rebel FM is a really good one because that's a spin-off to the boys that did the One Up podcast or the One Up TV show that used to be on years ago on IGN. And the boys still do that. It's called Rebel FM. It's really good. And then the usual ones, kind of funny. Day-to-day film cast. Veteran Gamers. All the kind of local ones I listen to. So that's kind of my list.
Steve, what are yours?
From a gaming point of view, firstly, I do listen to and I enjoy waiting to listen to the IGN Destiny Fire Team chat with them. No, honestly, it's great to listen to. I do like the guys for that. It's pretty good. Gamertag Radio is another one.
Yeah, I like that one. Actually, it's a good one.
The guys there are very. They don't hold back, and they're not blinkered like some people can be in podcasting. You know, if they like it or hate it, they'll tell you. But they have a good laugh out of that. And who else is? I'm trying to think. I do listen to the IGN Xbox podcast as well, and also the PlayStation version as well. So very sort of IGN sort of rat race with me. I think I don't know, but I think it's. Seeing as I've done a lot of driving recently, but I do listen to a lot of film podcasts as well now. Obviously, Film 89 are up there, and the new one I've been getting is Evolution of Horror. They break down in 10 episodes to 15 episodes of a different genre with zombies or something like that, and they'll do an array of films and chat about those with different guests. So they're quite good if you like that sort of thing.
Oh, good.
I've got to give Wrong Reel a shout out because I'm on there occasionally. So James, they do a various range of movie chat from Gunfight at the OK Corral to the latest movies that come out. And I've got another podcast to do with them actually coming up in March. So talking about a director, John Sturges, which I'm looking forward to doing because I get to talk about the Magnificent Seven, The Eagle Has Landed, and The Great Escape. So I can't wait to do that.
And yourself, Hayden?
I must admit, I don't really listen to many gaming podcasts. As a matter of fact, the only gaming podcast that I listen to is the Midlife Gamer podcast.
Oh, yeah, I've listened to that once or twice. It's not bad.
Yeah, listen to those and, give them a shout out. And Matthew Moore, he very kindly sponsored us on the Game Blast we did last year as well as very many other people. Other ones that I listen to are not gaming related. I listen to The Infinite Monkey Cage, which is Cox and Brian Inks talking about science. I listen to Lost in Sci-Fi and a sci-fi movie podcast, Sci-Fi on Screen, Star Talk Radio, which is Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Talking about science.
Actually, I'm just looking through my podcast list. We've got a couple more to add to that list in a minute. Good.
And I also listen to, when it's on, We're Alive, which is a sort of like serialised story about a zombie apocalypse. Mm-hmm. Really, really good, very high production values. Really, really worth looking up.
I will you guys check those out.
Yeah,
I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I made a note here, but I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, I've got a couple more. With my enjoyment in collecting Arrow movies and watching those, they do their own podcast. There are a couple of directors and special effects movie guys as well. So they chat about. They do go to Fright Fest and stuff like that, which I want to go and do this year. I hope to go to Fright Fest. And a couple of guys do a horror podcast called Draw One Last Breath. And I bumped into these guys at the queue at John Carpenter. That's where I first met them. And they do the latest horror movies on there, and they pick one out of their vault to chat about an old one. They're pretty good. Anything to do with Trek, I always go for the Inglorious Treksperts. Well worth a listen to. If you love Mission Impossible, like The Fuse, they're a great bunch of guys there doing that. And actually, if you like movie scores, you've got Score the Podcast. A friend of mine who wrote the Score to Death book, he's got his own one as well. And Evolution of Horror I've mentioned. I think that's about it really. Plenty.
Oh, all good ones. I'm going to check out a few of them. Thanks, Steve. I think.
Right. Okay. So that's it. That's episode number 63 in the bag. So, Steve, do you want to do your contact details?
God, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yep. So, PSN ID is the real Steve 007. Xbox is Steve 007. And you can find me better on Twitter at Steve 007 because I can chat about anything on there. Email steve07@popculturegamers.co.uk. Alan.
Twitter is HeadChefAlan. Xbox is Chef Alan. PSN is Chef Alan. And email is just thegingergamer@yahoo.com. Sorry.
Okay. And my contact details are, well, on everything, it's at HERJUK. Apart from on Epic, which it's Pop Culture Gamers on Epic, surprisingly enough. Just to let you know that we have our Facebook group, just search for Pop Culture Gamers. You can find us on Twitter at Pop Culture Gamer. If you've got any inquiries, you can get in contact with podcast@popculturegamers.co.uk, where our website is popculturegamers.podbean.com. We also have a Patreon if you would like to support the show, and we have our first, Patreon subscriber, so thank you very much. I didn't know whether or not you wanted your name read out, so I'll keep it quiet, but if you do want to be mentioned on the show, then we'll give you a mention as well. But thank you very much for supporting the show. That's going to really help with the fees. Very much appreciated. Also, if you want, I do occasional live streams, and if you subscribe to the show, subscribe to that will go towards funding the show in the future as well. So just look on Twitter for HERJUK, and that's it. And we can't do and it's a good night from me and a good night from him because there's three of us now.
We're gonna have to work something else out, aren't we?
We are. So for the meantime, it's good night from me.
And good night from me.
And it's Slán from me.
Good night, guys.
Which is Irish goodbye. Thanks, lads, for a great show. Thank you.
Good night. Bye.
Night.
Bye.